Wait, my guitar's not ready.
Your guitar is not ready?
The signal is really messed up.
That's too late, because the stream has already begun.
Ben?
I need to go down to the cafe and get my amp.
Okay, so Ryan's immediately left the podcast. That was quick.
No.
Well. Hello, people of Post-Apocalyptia.
All right. Wait, are we in the thing?
We have begun. It has begun.
The
Are we podcasting already?
We are, unless you want me to stop. But that would make things complicated.
That would make things weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Normally I see a thing pop up.
Yeah, it's a little bit buggy sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh wait, internet's normal?
Yeah. Just a...
When has internet ever been normal?
That's true.
Just a heads up, my internet is really, really fucking slow at the moment. Like, I don't know what's happening with it.
Okay. That's good to know.
Stop downloading all that porn.
You know, I'm not even done. Well, the problem is I think my parents are streaming something upstairs, and I think my sister's streaming something in another room.
Ah, yeah.
And then I'm in here, so we are sucking down our internet. But it's also been it's been slow all week, which is really, really annoying, because we should be getting better speeds. You know, we're running a fucking fiber line.
Yeah.
There was here where I live, there was a broken wire on our internet. And our internet was running at less than 1% about 3 months before they finally came and fixed it.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
Ah, there we go.
It's like, why even live?
It's like, it took about 5 minutes to load a 1
Sky,
minute.
I can barely hear you, bud.
Okay. Can you?
Well, that's on your end because it's fine on my end.
Okay, good. Yeah, see, no, that's that goes back to that Xbox Live E3 in 2013 where they're like, oh yeah, it's an online-only system. It's like, bullshit. There's no reason for an online-only system. Like, I think of playing Fallout, and I'm like, there isn't a single reason I need to go online unless I'm downloading a DLC.
I've been playing Dark Souls lately, so
There
like
you
I'm
go.
thinking like online only with that. I'm like, no, that'd be canceled.
And it's like the reason for it is so stupid and arbitrary about like, oh yeah, it's gotta ping the server once every 10 minutes or else it shuts off. I'm like, fuck you, it doesn't have to do that. That gets into like the weeds of DRM and stuff, and I'm like, no, I would willingly pirate stuff if this is like, if that's what you're gonna do, this is gonna make people steal it more, you know, if you make it that difficult and unwieldy. So... That's my little rant about that.
I just got back from the lake, so things have been nice.
Nice. Yeah, it must be, you know, nice, even temperatures up there in North Mexico.
Yeah, there's no Mexicans. Yes, very nice. It's actually very beautiful weather out here, and the water was only running about 10 degrees, so it was like beautiful.
Yeah, that's a good even temperature.
It was like still some ice blocks floating around. It was wonderful.
Humble Canadians returned back to their watery nesting grounds. No, they're the lakes and stuff. Everyone's out boating and stuff here too, which is pretty nice because we actually have water again for the first time in like 7 years.
I brought my 8-string up to the lake along with my little amp, and I was so tempted just to put the amp out facing the water because the wind was blowing away from me. Just put it out next to the water and just rock. That would have been awesome, but at the same time, it was like 4 a.m. when I did that, when I had the idea, and I was like, I would probably be like public enemy number 1 for like the rest of my life if I did that.
Yeah. So, hopefully everyone has enjoyed. If they've seen it by now, we released a Wasteland Survival Guide, I think it's like the 14th or 15th by now, building a shelter. And, yeah, it's all about building a shelter. So, you have at least a domicile to protect you from the elements. It's not necessarily a house, but you have protection.
See, the problem is with the lake, there is kind of a lack of Wi-Fi.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I'm not still there.
Yeah, no, that's it's like basic resource. Can't not have
like,
Wi-Fi.
It's one of the 5 elements of life. I mean, like,
Yeah.
there's food, water, shelter, and there was a food, water, shelter. There was something else, Wi-Fi.
It's like, it's essential if you don't have that. So, yeah, I always get jealous when I hear stories about Japan and South Korea, how, like, freaking wired they are from corner to corner. It's like they do have a much smaller country than, like, us, so it's so sparse and spread out and rural in areas, but it's like, even our big cities, like, I was surprised by how terrible the internet was in the Bay Area when I lived there. That's, like, bullshit. It's like, this is Silicon Valley. You didn't lay, like, it should have fiber grids on every street corner. But no, it's terrible. So.
Like, basically everywhere in Canada is rural, except for, like, our 6 big cities.
I know. I've been to Winnipeg, which I think is the smallest of the big cities.
I mean, there's, like, Toronto and Ottawa. And, like, out where I am, out on the East Coast in the Maritimes, there's the Fredericton or St. John is our big cities.
Big cities.
That's it.
I was going to say, does anyone even go to Ottawa? It sounds like it's just the capital, like, business, government buildings and stuff.
I've been to Toronto once.
Yeah.
We didn't go to Ottawa.
yeah. It's going to Ottawa is like, it's fine.
There's nothing to do to Ottawa. Toronto has a Canada's Wonderland, which is an amazing theme park, and that's why I went out there. But
is it literally named Canada's Wonderland?
Yes.
I like that. That's awesome.
It's like the only theme park in Canada. That's all we have.
Love it.
Basically, just go through Toronto and then go through some random rural city, and you've visited all of Canada.
You have to go down there, and then you say hello in English and French, and then you're allowed to pass.
Yeah. I mean, all you have after that is just the prairies, the Rockies, and the ocean.
I was going to say, has Justin Trudeau decided to bomb Alberta yet? It sounds like we're getting closer every day.
There's not much up here to look at.
No, I disagree. I think Canada's beautiful. The few times I've been up there, it's very, it's just the nice continuation, and it's a much more wilderness because it's not quite as developed as we are down here in certain places.
Well, out here where I live in a little tiny small town in the middle of nowhere, political correctness isn't exactly a big thing here yet.
Nah. Too much stuff.
And so there's hardly a day goes by where some of my friends don't say the N-word that I would normally say here.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
there's hardly a day. Just no one cares.
Yeah. So yeah, it's we don't have too many watchers or commenters yet, so I'm guessing you guys are just chilling. That's fine. We're mostly just chilling too. Are you back in with us, James? Are you successfully connected?
Vaguely. I mean, every now and then your voice drops away, and I've been kicked from the call 2 times, and I've restarted my modem. But I suppose, I think I'm back.
Okay.
Close enough.
I can point this out early, is that, just while you're still figuring things out, is that we have auditions going on for Confessions of Wasteland Pony Episode 7, if you are a dude and want to audition for that.
Mm-hmm. Since there have been questions about your thing, could you give us an example of what you think the voice should sound like?
Oh yeah, well I did give in the demo there. It's sort of like I was trying to figure out like the best way to describe what I'm looking for, and I think the Scout from Team Fortress 2, like if you watch their Meet the Scout videos and that, like that's the perfect sort of like middle Brooklyn accent, like a little bit like a mafia hitman, a little bit like just a lieutenant, like someone who works for the Don Corleone.
That seems a bit. That seems kind of Boston, less than hitman,
Yeah, it's sort of a, it sort of blends together, at least for my California ears. Like, growing up on Looney Tunes, Mel Blanc blended the accents back and forth for Bugs Bunny. So I can tell them apart when they're
who I am?
stereotypical enough.
I'm kind of a big deal, you know? I'm trying to do the Boston accent, and I'm like, nope, I can't do it. I can't do it.
That's okay.
No, to be fair, I can't do an American accent. It is so far beyond my capacity to
it's sort of more like a little bit of a Weasley sort of thing, you know. Yeah, you really like getting into the weeds.
Bit more like this.
Yeah. You're gonna assassinate someone, and you know. So.
I'm gonna tell y'all a fucking story. Is that about right? I'm gonna tell you a story about how I. Nah, I can't do it.
See, now you're drifting into country, yeah. That's okay.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem. Is that because I grew up in South Africa while America was still in the Bush administration, so essentially my experience of what America was was that you were all basically Texas. Like there was no rest of America. It was just Texas was
now you listen here, boy. We do not accept the W's in our society anymore. The Bushes can go die. That's fine. Yeah. So either way, yeah. Confession 7 is gonna be really fun. It's it's gonna be a great character. I think he's very. He definitely, he's a rogue element. He's like, he's the mercenary. That's the title. It's gun for hire. So he doesn't really have a boss, but at the same time, he just isn't acting on his own. He's just taking one contract to another. So it's very, I think it's a cool story. And I think there's some surprises that people will really like when it actually releases. So.
Sounds like an interesting one.
I can't wait for 3 years from now when we're on a Breakroom podcast and I completely forget about the mercenary and I suggest that someone should make a character like that in one of our stories, like I did with Poor Battered Blade last week.
That's okay. See, that's one thing, but you can't forget Parts of Terminal Secrets. That's your series.
That was so awkward last week. Hey guys, we should do a story with a raider. Yeah, about that, James.
It was just so perfectly timed.
Right? Okay, to be fair, once again, in like the 10-hour catalog that is Confessions of a Wasteland Pony, Bafford's story is like 20 minutes. But, actually, I was thinking about that. If you were to do, so I've been thinking about doing this with Terminal Secrets, is that once everything is done, I'd go and release like the deleted scenes version, with just certain stories and episodes that I'd want to retell in a non-canonical but more extended manner. Would you ever consider doing that with things like Confessions?
We'll see what happens. I just want to finish the series at this point.
But I'm sure you'd want to find a way to make Battered Blade's story like 6 hours long at least. I mean,
if I redid episode 1 now, yeah, that would be much more interesting and complex, definitely. Just because I've very much grown as a writer since then.
Oh yeah, right. I mean, fucking. I've noticed this as well. So back at the tail end of 2015, I wrote the script for the first episode of the animated series that Pabs is working on. And it's funny because at the time I was like, yeah, this is the best script I've ever written. This is some seriously awesome drama, like really, really great, solid stuff. And they are nearing completion of this animation now, and I'm sitting there looking at this fucking 2-year-old script, almost 2 years old script, and I'm like, oh god, this is awful.
Don't remake this. Oh my gosh.
How did I write this?
No, I was looking back on that too. I can't believe that Confessions is 3 years old. Holy hell. That's, oh my gosh.
And you must be looking back at like some mistakes that you probably made, thinking like, oh god, present-day Skybot wouldn't have made those mistakes. Yeah. What's wrong with you, past Skybot?
A few things I would definitely tool differently, But, I mean, I won't go into specifics because I don't want to ruin the mystique of everything. Everything is perfect as you hear it. Actually, I'd say more so on the writing end. A lot of my problems with it were always production side. It's always the hardest part working with, you know, getting all the cogs to fit together, every voice actor, people dropping out and then having to replace them. But stuff like that. That I'm more like, you know, I wish I could do all the voices, but no.
Oh god, I'm completely. I completely get that. Every now and then, writing the script is honestly one of the easiest parts of production, which is saying something.
Yeah, I need like a synth twin sister, and then both of us to have much broader voice acting ranges, and then I'd be perfect. But no.
I know, right? If I had the capacity to do my own art, I'd be completely set.
Yeah. And
maybe do some more of my own voice acting, like. I can do 3 accents and I'm still not entirely sure about my natural accent. I know some Americans like it, but I'm not a fan of my own acting.
Well, acting and accent is different. I think your accent is.
This is true.
But yeah, it's so crazy though too. Just thinking like we're only 8 months into the EAST Corp channel, and I'm scrolling up and down the page, and I'm like, look at all this. This is so much cool stuff. I mean, we really should have more fans than we do, in my humble opinion.
But, I mean, to be fair, we have released a lot of cool stuff recently. Well, just in general. And it's also kind of weird to think that we have released... God knows how many videos. I mean, we must be at least about 70 by now.
Yeah, let me see if I can count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. 23 times 4 is...
96?
Minus 2 is 94. We've got
92.
92. 92. You're
92.
Right.
Okay, minus 2 plus the one we're currently recording. This is our 91st video.
So we'll have to look into something for the 100th video then. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I suppose we're actually going to have to do some sort of celebration. Our 100th video.
Yeah.
Because, good lord, we've released a lot of content, and that's not including any of the content that we released under Stable Tech. I think we did we did 6 podcasts there, and then of course there's the Balefire Symphony work.
Yeah, that big album.
Yeah.
Oh,
fair, I mean, I am counting things like the vlogs and trailers and a few update videos, but and the Patreon promos and so on. But I think that I think it's fair enough to count those,
I'm counting all of it too. It's just easier that way than trying to split it.
Oh yeah, because I don't really feel like counting through all of them, manually, because I'm lazy. No. I'm a lazy person. If I can get away with doing as little work as possible, then I will do that as little work as possible. Oh, by the way, so I am particularly proud of our new episode of Wasteland Survival Guide, because so far it's scrapping up to be one of our more successful Wasteland Survival Guide episodes.
Yeah.
In terms of, especially, it's got a really, really nice comment section. Normally we are lucky to have, normally we're lucky to get like 10 comments across a 2-week period in our videos, but I mean, this is This is 8 hours in, and we've already got 13 comments. To be fair, one of them is mine. Someone wanted to know if anyone was planning on compiling the chapters together into a book, and of course that is one of our long-term goals for the Wasteland Survival Guide.
Yeah. We've said that several times. We want to put it together and make it a good working survival guide.
Exactly. I mean, it's in the description of every single episode. So
there's that too.
Yeah. When we're done, we will have a nice solid survival guide. We still have a long way to go though. To be fair.
Oh yeah. No, this is a long project. Like we're gonna have content all the way through 2018, at least as far as I see it. So we've got two more Fallout days. We have 2 more Christmas seasons, depending on what we do for that. At this rate, and sort of what I'm hoping is to make Confession 7 like a Christmas or New Year's release. But I don't want to set an exact date. But that's like I'm trying to hold tight to maybe a 6-month window now and see if we can make that work. Because there's only like a few episodes left at this point, so we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And Terminal Secrets is also slowly starting to reach the end of its lifespan too. We're pushing really, really hard to get the last lines in. I've just got to get a few voice actors and sorted for a few ancillary characters. It's always the minor characters that I struggle to get, because either you forget about them completely because you're so focused on getting the main cast sorted, or you're just struggling to find voice actors who are willing to who willing to join a project just to voice a minor character. Because either you'll find someone who's not particularly great but really enthusiastic, or they're great but they are not happy about the role that you've just given them, Yeah,
you gotta usually farm out minor characters to the other main cast so they feel like, they have something.
Normally that but unfortunately, I can't keep doing that because there are only so many times I can go to Needle or Maddie and say, "Hey guys, I need you to take on yet another female character." It's kind of especially because I couldn't use either of them for this one because it's set in all the characters except for one are English.
Oh my gosh!
It's British.
You had to make it hard for yourself.
Yeah, okay, to be fair, we do have an Oakheart, so...
We do have, yes. I would love to hear Oakheart do all the characters in an episode. That would be awesome.
So we did... That was funny, so I essentially messaged her and said, "Hey, Oakheart, you have to do a thing for me. I'm not really giving you a choice. You're going to be a... I need
you are going to do the thing.
Yeah, you're going to do the thing. I need you to be I need you to be a British... I need you to be a British Steel Ranger mechanic who likes mare butts." I think that was more or less...
That's something we can all relate to.
That's something we can all relate to. Oakheart, yes. Oakheart was like, "That seems like me already."
Oh, man.
She's like, "I'm completely okay with this." Unfortunately, this character does not get any injuries, so the character's not going full Oakheart.
I know.
You never want to go full Oakheart. That's how you end up in the hospital.
That was a great podcast. Just on and on, every way she's ever hurt herself. That's amazing. But then again, when Oakheart isn't hurting herself, frickin' Needle is hurting herself on the podcast. So maybe it's good we don't have any women in the call today.
Yeah, let's make sure that none of us get injured in this podcast.
Holy hell. That caught me so off guard in an already weird podcast. I was like, what in the... So... That's the lesson, is don't work. Don't do chores. Just live your life. The chores will take care of themselves.
If only it were that
just
simple.
Get a servant, I'm sure you all have someone who owes you a favor. Just, or blackmail someone. Blackmail someone into being your servant for life.
We're not CNN.
Oh shit, son.
Topical. Yeah, rip CNN.
Heyo!
I'll point out too, because we brought up Confessions earlier. The 8th episode of Confessions will have a female lead. So for those of you ladies out there who enjoy our stuff and wanted to audition, there will be a chance for that later in the year when we start doing auditions for episode 8.
Samuel Pierce would like to summon Needle or Oakheart. I don't know about Oakheart. We can't summon Needle. She's currently mounting Blackjack.
Yes.
At high speed. She's mounting Blackjack at the highest of speeds right now.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Why the hell is she on a motorcycle if she's, broke her back? What the hell?
I don't know. I didn't even know she had any friends that owned motorcycles. I'm assuming she's not riding her own one. As far as I know, she doesn't have one.
No, she's riding bitch, as she described it. So I'm picturing what happened is they basically have her duct taped around the rear bar of the motorcycle, and she's just like Mad Max, just sort of hanging there, like.
Yeah.
You see, they have the duct tape on both sides so that her back stays together.
I don't think I'd really want someone to be hanging on my bike like that. Like, I ride every day and just I ride every single day, you know. But the problem is that I ride by myself. Bow chicka bow wow. As soon as I start riding with another person, bow chicka bow wow,
then the cops get called. What are you doing in my house?
Alrighty then.
What other updates do we have? Oh, I'm guessing. Well, did either of you see the new Spider-Man movie?
I have not seen the new Spider-Man movie. It's apparently not available in South Africa yet, which is weird as fuck.
I wanted to ask because usually
really
the other Atlantic countries get them before us.
Yeah, normally, to be fair, like Star Wars, South Africa gets first, which is amazing, by the way. But the Marvel movies usually have to wait a day or two, and mid-range to indie movies, we have to wait months.
Yeah,
I think we got John Wick 2 3 months after it came out.
Oh,
I have to wait another 2 months to see Baby Driver.
I just saw John Wick 2 last night again. That was so good. Such a good movie.
It's such a great freaking movie. I love the scene with them walking through the subway, like taking shots at each other, and no one fucking notices.
Yeah, I know, right? Because that's just like average New York. They're like, oh yeah,
right.
The local gang is passing through.
The directors were saying that scene came up exactly from they were walking through New York, doing location scouting, and one of them tripped and he lands and hits the ground really hard. And the rest of the crowd just keeps walking, like people stepping right over him. Like in New York, they don't give a shit.
No.
So, and they stood up, and one of them made the joke of, "Dude, we could start a fucking gunfight out here, and no one would notice." And the one director's like, "That should absolutely go in the movie."
It's so
no one would fucking care.
Yeah, it's so true.
Oh God.
Yeah, here where I live, we tend to be nicer than that. Like, I mean, I had too many groceries in my hand one day, and someone gave me a hand. I was like, "Oh, thank you for your hand." And he's like, "Okay," and he walked into another car right beside me. Like, he didn't work there or anything. He just helped me out with my groceries. Like,
oh, that was nice. In South Africa, if someone helps you out with their groceries, they're helping you out by relieving you of your groceries.
Yeah, taking it off your hands.
Exactly. Sometimes they might even take your hands. Depends on how much you fight.
See, I have a Dark Knight-esque, bomb apparatus on my chest most of the time. So it's like if someone approaches me, I pull out the wire, and you got to keep the criminals at bay. But no, that's good.
Yeah, but see, not all of us are engineers who can hook that sort of thing up.
That's the great thing about claymores is it's directional, out from the chest into their face.
Yeah, but it's probably going to ruin your ears. You do not want tinnitus. Okay, you'll be exactly like Archer.
Oh gosh, I miss those classic Archer moments.
Second, I'll be right back.
All right.
Well, modern Archer is pretty great. The last season they did entirely film noir. Set in the 40s, I think.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. I finally got around to finishing the Magnum PI season, but at the same time, the ending felt like a non-ending. I don't know if I missed an episode or something.
Oh, no. The ending was exactly that ending was... to be fair, I hated that season, but I loved the ending because it kind of sums up why I really like Adam Reed as a showrunner, because... everything about that season was essentially it sets up all these grand plot lines that look like one thing, but they play on your expectations that it's going to be another thing. And I love the finale of that because it's like, no, everything is exactly as it appears to be. There was the Longwater CD was just a sex tape. Archer dead in the pool was actually Archer dead in the pool. The way they and they kind of do something very, very similar with the new season, where they build you up on a lot of they build you up on a lot of complicated plot points, and then they undercut them with at the last moment. It's funny, but it's, I don't know. This new season's really different because the first thing is that the entire season happens over the course of about 2 days.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's a far, far more narrative-focused season.
Ooh.
And what's really, really cool is that as it goes, so like Archer essentially doesn't sleep throughout this new season. So you sort of get to the end where he is overdosing on painkillers and other drugs and alcohol.
Nice.
And he doesn't get any time to recover from his injuries.
It's very noir.
Yeah, so every single episode he is just more beaten and more. It's like, I don't know how much you remember about Jessica Jones, but it's basically so like the whole last half of Jessica Jones was also, you know, her doing that exact same thing, getting beaten up, bruised, not sleeping, taking a lot of alcohol, fucking. And so yeah, it follows that noir thread very, very well, and it is quite interesting to watch Archer. You know, he's bearing all of the scars of his failures, whereas before in normal Archer, he sort of just shrugs everything off. And alongside all that, they made him a World War II veteran in this rebooted world. So the fucking PTSD flashbacks are amazing.
Oh, nice.
They'll do because it's animated. They can animate 2 scenes of him being in different locations so that it looks identical. So what they'll do really, really well is they'll have him in a fight with someone, and he'll swing to punch someone in the face, but suddenly the background and his clothing will alter into World War II clothing and background, so it'll almost be like all those things will snap, but the action will change the same. So the way they do the flashbacks is really, really fucking smooth that you wouldn't be able to do in a live action.
Exactly. No, I love that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's one of the most creative uses of a PTSD sort of flashback style that I've seen so far. And but what's really cool is I have no fucking clue what they're going to do next, because I don't know if they've kind of left the door open for them to either continue with the noir storyline or to take it into another period altogether. Like, yeah, I think the show has really proved that that the characters are so well written and developed that you can put them into any scenario and we'd watch it.
Yeah, I'm curious too, because they are covering a lot of like famous like eras and stereotypes with they had the Magnum PI and this Dreamland Noir, but of course the original, the pinnacle, was Archer Vice in season 5, which I still love so much.
Oh god,
it's just so perfect in every way.
It is the best thing they did with the whole country music theme that they went with, and the soundtrack to Archer Vice was perfect.
Bringing in freaking what's his
Kenny
name
Loggins.
of Danger Zone.
Yeah, they got Kenny Loggins in. That one was amazing.
So awesome.
And having him sing Danger Zone, and freaking, I absolutely loved Archer Vice. I think it's by far the best season that they've done, which is impressive because, as much as we love to give credit to and praise to a lot of the new shows coming out, I think it's still like really important to look at shows like Archer, who they weren't like standard setters, because I mean Archer came kind of during that midpoint of animated adult comedies, but I think it really did elevate what they could be for. And it's interesting that it still manages to kind of stand on its own feet. Like season 7 with the Magnum PI was still kind of weak, but also at least they're trying some new shit.
I agree. Yeah, they could have done some different stuff with that. It was, I don't know, it was all right, but I'm already like I don't really watch those kind of movies. The Magnum, that kind of cop action. Like the 70s, really, I ignore most 70s and 60s movies because they're so fucking depressing. But, should we check in on the comments real quick? I am not caught up on Magical Horse, unfortunately. I've only watched the DWK reaction, or Totally Awesome recaps, so...
That's all you actually need to do is just watch the legit recaps.
That's kind of where I'm at this point. Yeah, it's sad.
They are fairly accurate. I watched the one with AJ's parents, which
I need to watch that because that looks so adorable. The mom, anyway. The dad looks like very, very terribly thought out, but the mom is very creative and adorable design.
And Felicia Day, so you know. Also, was it Dawnbreaker? Yes, Daybreaker. Daybreaker was one of the coolest bits of pure fan service with showing us what Celestia would look like had she turned evil like Nightmare Moon did.
Yeah, I've got to see that too.
That was pure fan service, and also because Daybreaker was legitimately funny. It was Daybreaker, your better, more powerful, prettier self. Fucking, that shit was funny. Oh, especially her calling out how depressing Nightmare Moon's whole motif was. So much black.
Am I back?
We get it. You're sad.
I know.
I adore it.
I'm back, right?
Yo.
I'm hearable?
You are here.
Yeah.
I
wasn't here for the past little while, but trying to get back in.
No, I know we sort of leave the podcast open to be revolving door. What we do behind the scenes is we call our main, we call it the titties chat because of a very old joke. And so we call that chat, and so people can drop in and out as they want and contribute.
Well, I think now it's called the now it's the tight brackets and tits. So it's tight tits at the moment.
Oh my gosh.
So okay, so for the record, so where this came about is that EAST Corp's the way EAST Corp sort of structures its Skype chats comes from the StableTech days where where StableTech would have a chat for a lounge, a business chat, and then a chat with all the executives. And so we kind of structured it. We structured it very similar here at EAST Corp, except we don't really have much of a separation between lounge and business. Also, we don't have an executive chat. We have the God chat. The God Duck chat, which is
now the Four Horsemen chat.
Yeah, it's now the Four Horsemen chat. Yeah, so that's myself, Skybolt, James Kelly, and Needle Stitch.
Yeah.
And then there is the Titans chat, which then became the Titties chat, which then became the Titties chat with D's, with double D's.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then the Titan Titties chat, and now it's the Tight Titties chat. And sometimes we just call it tits. It's just the tits.
Yeah.
So out of the Four Horsemen, which one is war, which one is pestilence, death, and famine?
We actually did decide that. I called dibs on death when I came up with the idea to nickname us the Four Horsemen, and naturally, you know. And then, what was next? I think, did you call war, or did you call famine?
I didn't call anyone. I think Needle made me war or famine.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember now which one called which. Because, I think it was Needle and I talking when we came up with that. And then, I think she called dibs on war, actually. I think she gave you famine because Africa. Aww.
Oh, thanks.
Aww. And then we gave Kelly pestilence.
That was in bad taste.
That was in bad taste.
There's no such thing as bad
and I love
taste.
it.
Podcast. You can't have bad taste if you have no taste.
I like to think that we perpetuate the dark humor of the Fallout series in our everyday lives.
Oh my God, right.
Oh, I did almost finish New Vegas again. I finished a playthrough over, in between crap I've had to do. And basically, I couldn't do much here on my end anyway, like recording or whatnot, because of frickin' 4th of July. My neighborhood celebrated 4th of July for frickin' 2 weeks. Every night I'm hearing M80s go off like it's a damn war zone. M80s and people popping off frickin' bottle rockets. So I'm like, I can't record anything. It's just like in the background. So I played New Vegas.
I suppose playing New Vegas works fair enough. Oh, so fucking I had to deal with a thing, and it pissed me off. And I know I'm coming late to the party on this, but whatever. I'm gonna bitch about it.
Do it.
This is the bitching podcast. Vermont is gonna bitch. Okay, so I was aware going into Arkham Knight that it wasn't a great game, or rather that it wasn't as great as the others were. Like, I knew that the PC port had been shite and so on, but I was like, you know what? I'm playing a console version, it should be fine. And then I actually got into it, and the fucking Batmobile, oh my god, I have never been so pissed off by a game mechanic in my entire life.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know if you ever played Arkham Knight?
I haven't.
Did you play any of the other Arkham games?
I played the first two, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City.
Okay. So essentially, fucking one of the best parts about Arkham City is just just all of these sections of you having to find ways to take down rooms of bad guys. You know, fucking using all of these different techniques and traps and tricks and, you know, getting shot and trying to not get shot and killed,
Batman stuff,
or whatever. Yeah, exactly, fucking proper Batman stuff. And the fact that the detective vision and those sections were really, really simple. You know, you scan for a few objects, you found them, Batman connects the dots for you, and then you go on. Fucking Arkham Knight. So in the time I've played, I have spent more time in the Batmobile than I have as Batman, and that is not by choice. When if I get a chance to play outside of the Batmobile, I am praising the goddamn sky, because almost every single almost every single story mission that I have encountered so far requires the use of the Batmobile, and it is one of the most infuriating mechanics that I have encountered. Aside from the fact that playing as the Batmobile is slow, it's boring, it handles poorly, and it keeps making you fight all of these fucking tanks, like 8 or 9 tanks every 5 minutes. And all I keep thinking to myself is that, and there's a section where it makes you solve a puzzle, like driving it along walls and through corridors and shit to solve Batmobile-related puzzles. And all I'm thinking to myself is, all I want to do is punch people as Batman. Is that so fucking hard to ask? And the way they oh my god, seriously, it keeps throwing the stupid mechanic in, and the Batmobile on its own is kind of cool. Like, if they had just had it as like an ancillary thing that you can do, and that once in a while, like 2 or 3 story missions across the entire campaign require you to use the Batmobile, that's fine. But not in a case where they're like, where they cram this mechanic into every single part of the game. At this point, it feels more like playing fucking a game about tanks than playing as fucking Batman. Like, honestly, the game just makes me so goddamn fucking angry. Like, and I don't understand why the review scores are so good, because it is not to mention the level design is some of the worst I have ever seen.
Nice.
Like, every now and then I bitch about the fact that I like everything about New Vegas except for its level design.
Yeah.
I think the world of New Vegas is kind of boring, and I don't think the map is laid out very well. No. Like, fucking that is like, New Vegas is the Mozart of fucking level design compared to Arkham Knight. Like, it is just poor decision after poor decision with these guys. Like, they will hide the answer to a puzzle in the side of a fucking corner, and with absolutely zero advice or hints on how to solve the problem. And it's not like fucking they give you an extremely complicated puzzle where it takes trial, error, and logic and an understanding of your environment to figure out the problem. It's just a case of it's lazy fucking level design that keeps shoehorning in the fucking Batmobile. I don't want to solve puzzles using a tank. I just want to punch supervillains in the face and flirt with Catwoman. Isn't that so hard to ask for? Oh my god, I'm dying inside. Also, it doesn't help that the writing is just the writing is awful. I mean, okay, except for like the way they use the Joker is genius. It's one of the best uses of the Joker I've ever seen.
Oh, really? Because I heard that was a complaint from some people, is that it's the Joker again.
Oh no! So what's cool is the Joker's not the villain in this game because he dies in Arkham City.
Yeah.
Instead, what happens is that Batman gets hit with a dose of Scarecrow's fear toxin.
Oh.
And he starts hallucinating the Joker.
Okay.
And so what's really, really great with that is how they sort of handle these hallucinations in engine. So the game will drop you down into a small room, and suddenly you'll be reliving the events of Barbara Gordon being shot in The Killing Joke. And then you'll turn to face a wall where there's this message written for you. But then as soon as you angle the camera away from the wall, the map changes very seamlessly into another location. And so they'll sort of do that sort of thing where you will walk around a corner or turn the camera and the Joker will be standing there, or he'll be sitting on an object, or you'll be sneaking through a vent. And as you're sneaking through the vent, the Joker will stand on top of the vent and walk after you, like just rattling off exposition. In this very mocking way. And honestly, I think it's excellent because they found a way to use him without the plot hinging on him being the villain. It's just he is just there to provide
funny commentary. I like that.
Yeah, it's just him being fucking hilarious and kind of creepy. I love the way they use the Joker, and the only reason I am still playing the game is because I want to soak up as much of Mark Hamill's Joker as absolutely possible. But on the other hand, just everything else about the game is like, oh god, they did this better, this was so much better in Arkham City. I mean, God, Arkham Knight is just a bad game. It is objectively just, oh my god.
Yeah, I had a fun time in the first two, but it was also a little bit rough because it's like I've had a problem with other games where it's like I actually enjoyed the story thoroughly, and I like all the way they set it up and everything, and the lore with the villains and stuff, but the mechanic, the actual game itself, I'm not a fan of that kind of game. Like, I've never been good at fighting games anyway, and then what Batman is, which is sort of like a brawling button masher kind of game, it sort of wore me down. It wasn't fun to, like, play inside of. I had to, like, force myself to get through certain areas to enjoy the aesthetic. So it's like the Penguin level, and you're going through that room with the big shark. It's like, okay, it's fun doing the problem solving, doing, like, some of the, platforming kind of things, or like going down in the deep cellars of Gotham, and you see the mechanical marvels, the robots, the steampunky looking robots. I love that kind of crap, but the main mechanic of the game is something I'm not fun at or good at, so it was a little bit of a slow boil. And then of course it's fucking Hugo Strange every time.
I liked Hugo Strange. I thought he was a really good villain, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either you play Dark Souls?
No, that's another game where I don't get pleasure out of just grinding through game levels and the difficulty. I know other people do, but for me, it drives me crazy.
Oh boy, I've been having fun with that one lately.
Nice.
And by fun, I mean dying over and over and over and over, and then finally getting to a boss and dying over and over and over. I'm glad does not count your deaths, because I would have so many.
Does that include Bloodborne? Did you play through that game too?
No, I have a Dark Souls 1. I almost had Dark Souls 2, and I decided not to. And I have Dark Souls 3 on the PC. Unfortunately, for a PC, I have a laptop.
Oh.
And it didn't work. It did not work.
No.
I beat the first boss in like 50 tries because it was lagging so much where I couldn't actually time my attacks. And that's something that has to be timed very precisely to do like a counter, a block. And basically it just, there's an attack, I hit the button, and just everything stops for a second, I get hit. And then I get up and I do the block after that. I'm like, come on.
And then you die.
So what I had to do was actually block do my parrying before he would attack. So I had to actually learn his pattern enough that I could plan everything ahead of him. And got lucky one time.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it sounds to me whenever I see videos of it. And again, I think the villains look cool in the Souls games, and Bloodborne, which actually has a story.
Awesome.
But it's like, I can't do it. I wish I could, but I just hate that kind of like dying over and over and over again, and I don't know. The reward center in my brain doesn't reward me for that. It tells me you're wasting time. This isn't fun. This is frustrating.
I will say that like the feeling when I beat Quelaag, which would be the giant spider girl. Okay. There, she's in the first game, one of the first bosses you beat. Yeah, when I finally beat her, oh boy, that was such.
Yep, that's the payoff. That's keeps you going.
That back. Feeling of like, I've been trying to beat this boss for the past half hour, like trying to get to the boss for the past half hour. Mm-hmm. If I don't beat it the first try, I'm gonna lose my 10 Estus and be down to 5, which is my healing potion. And if I don't beat her within the first 5 tries, I'm gonna fight her poisoned. Well, the first time I played, I got down to about half health and died. The second time, I just kept doing worse and worse and worse and worse. And so then I'm fighting her poisoned, and I finally get her, and that feeling of, like, I only have so much time. She has one attack that's like a giant explosion, AoE explosion around her that does a crap ton of damage. So you need to take a look at her to make sure, like, you have to always keep the the human body on top of the spider head. Mm-hmm. Have a look at her so you know what she's doing. There's so much you have to look at.
I was going to say, she almost sounds like a monster girl, kind of like waifu tier.
Yeah. But... Yeah, she is. And there's a spider head that spews lava. You need to look at that as well to make sure that's not spraying lava at you. And then if it does spray lava, you can't use that whole section of the stage because she'll force you into the lava and you'll die.
A spider that sprays lava?
So
now we're getting creative.
There is so much you need to pay attention to with that fight. But every time I see a fight of someone that knows what they're doing play that game, it does not do it justice. The way that I saw someone do a challenge with that, he was just using whatever item he found, but all the items were switched around. So he was just picking up items trying to get something, and he went through and beat the boss first try with terrible weapons. Nice. And I'm like, you did not do this boss justice. This is a hard boss. How did you just own her and, like, one-shot her? Like, how? What? But it was a frustrating boss, but that payoff of finally beating her, it's just like, drop the controller, hands to the sky.
Yeah. Now, I remember my most frustrating video game boss I ever actually played through, and he's been on lists of, like, one of the worst, like, video game boss battles of all time, is in frickin' Force Unleashed 2, the Darth Vader battle at the end on the stupid space station is infamous of how terrible and, like, just... It's so much wasted time doing that, and I'm like, I can't believe I played through that whole game, because looking back, it was so criminally disappointing compared to the first game, which was decent. You know, it wasn't the perfect Star Wars game, but at least I had a fun time. It was like 10 different planets or locations, and then you end up on the Death Star, and you got the Darksaber,
it was all right.
Emperor's Room, but no, that second game was like a freaking DLC they decided to grow into a game, and not a cool game like ODST, but a freaking terrible game that wasn't worth $40, let alone $20.
No, I fucking... And I wasn't a particularly big fan of the original Force Unleashed, because just, God, Starkiller's character was just non-existent, and the writing was awful.
No.
That's kind of, I don't know, maybe I'm a snob, but that's kind of like a prerequisite, is that I really like good writing.
No, and for me in general, too. That was, I don't know.
I mean, maybe it kind of depends, like, you know, it depends, like, knowing what you go in for. Like, I'm not going to go into Doom and expect it to have amazing writing, because obviously, the story was the last thing they came up with. Though, to be fair, they had some really competent moments of writing, which I was surprised. It was most like the world building, especially, but the fucking Force Unleashed. I like that boss battle was for Force Unleashed 2 was just ridiculous. I feel your pain.
Yeah, and I mean, the first one had the frustrating moment of pulling down the damn Star Destroyer, but at the very least, in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is actually at least realistic. If you were really a Sith Lord and you were really trying to pull a freaking Star Destroyer out of orbit and crash it into a planet, it would be like this. You'd have to tug on it a little bit, and then you'd have to fight off some TIE fighters coming at you, because, you're one big sore thumb on the platform there, and then you got to pull it down a little bit more. So at least it made sense to me, and it was rewarding. Like what Ryan talked about, it's like when I finally pulled that mofo into the ground, like the end of Return of the Jedi when it crashes into the Death Star, I was like, oh, hell yeah. It felt awesome. So, I wanted to, I was looking for a transition, though, when you brought up Dark Souls and then Bloodborne, is the Lovecraftian stuff in Bloodborne, because I just got an audiobook that I wanted to tell everyone about, and we're not even sponsored by Audible, but if Audible wanted to sponsor us, that'd be really sweet. Just
no complaints.
Yeah, I mean, Audible seems to be sponsoring every other podcast and audio drama in the world.
Yeah, no freaking kidding. Why not us? All right, Audible, here's my demo promotional. I found on Audible a, they call it an omnibus. I'm not sure if that's the proper word for it, but they call it the H.P. Lovecraft nonfiction or fiction omnibus, and it's a 2-part audiobook, so you have to buy them separately, but I bought volume 1, and it's like 24 hours long, but it's a collection of all of his, essentially, it's all the Cthulhu mythos, and then some other, like, ancillary, like, semi-related stories, all put together in the order they were written, because he built on each other over time. And even better, it has a narrator that introduces you to Lovecraft and his life, and he'll pop in every other story and give a little, like, transition, explaining, like, stuff going on that led to the creation of certain things, or how one story connects to another. It's very, very cool, and I'm only, like, 6 hours into it so far, but it's, like, the best way to consume Lovecraft.
1/4 of the way through, another 3/4 to go.
Yeah, no, and one of them was like a big 4-hour chunk. It was one of his largest works, which was At the Mountains of Madness, and that's like his full, like, it's technically a novella, but it also gave me a little point of like a reward where I'm thinking, like, this is about the same length as The Engineer, and then I felt good, like, hey, I've written something as long as a very famous author and writer, so. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going through it and definitely start working.
You keep that ego boost there.
Yeah, I needed it. It's very fun.
One more little thing about the Dark Souls there, Quayleg. She also has a sword.
Oh my god. So, okay, so it's like there's a chick top on top of a normal giant spider that also shoots lava and has a sword, and she's probably scantily clad from the top side. So
there is nothing. Her hair covers herself.
Oh, ew, that's gross. I mean, it's kind of furry, but oh my gosh.
Yeah, so she is, like, she's on the head of the spider. But, like, there's, like, the big gap on the spider where she comes out, and there's, like, all the veins and everything going up into her. Ugh. Like, her thigh.
Okay, so she sounds more like frickin' Apocalypse from the end of Digimon, if anyone gets that reference.
Okay, no, I haven't seen Digimon, but yeah, sure. We'll go with that for now.
Oh, shoot, we should probably check the chat, too.
She is... Shit. And this is, like, the second boss you'll face.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Developers.
It only goes downhill from there.
Interesting.
Well, the second mandatory boss.
Oh, okay. There are some optional ones you can, like, avoid.
Yeah, there's, like, a dragon you can go fight. An undead dragon. There's a Dark Knight you can go fight.
Does it rise after you fight it? Does it rise? Is it the hero that we need?
But not the one you deserve.
After you defeat the quail egg? What?
Every time you say that, I think you're saying quail egg, because quails are like the state bird in California, and like quail eggs look weird.
No,
I'm sorry, it's just a sort of aside.
It's Queelaag. Queelag?
Quahog.
Quail. I've always called it quail egg, but it's probably like Queelag or something. But
Nah, who cares? It's all pagan stuff.
yeah. Anyway, that's my contribution to the podcast.
No, that's fun. Absolutely, it's it's fun for some, hard for others. Like the Dark Souls skeletons, I always thought were really creepy because at least for me, that's still like. It's such a raw, horrifying, like, kind of monster creature is just an animated skeleton. So even older, cornier movies like Jason and the Argonauts, I love that scene where they're fighting an army of walking skeletons.
The thing about the Dark Souls skeletons is you need to... Go ahead, James.
Oh, no, you keep going. I'll segue later.
Okay, the thing about the Dark Souls skeletons that make them so... scary-ish is you can't kill them until you kill the necromancer. You'll just attack them, and then the top half of them will fall off, and they'll come back up and go after you right after again.
Yeah, and even then, the necromancer himself is just this horrible monstrosity of, like, fear as well.
That is why I didn't have to do the catacombs yet.
yeah, like the beast skeleton, like crawling on all fours and stuff. It's like, I don't know, something about that entire section. That's like something like truly horrifying deep down in my bones is seeing walking skeletons.
Okay. Yeah,
go ahead.
It's kind of interesting going back to the Jason and the Argonaut scene. Mm-hmm. Back when we were first when I started my animation course, we had to start by learning stop motion.
Oh yeah,
and naturally that scene is one of the most famous uses of stop motion fucking ever.
It's so well done for its day, you know.
Absolutely.
In the, mid 50s, early 60s?
Yeah. It's become the basis for my graduation film. Well, I mean, I only have to make my graduation film in like a year's time, but we've obviously been encouraged to start planning shit now. But of doing like fucking life-sized stop-motion skeletons and everything, fuck, it is not going to be cheap. But anyway, it's interesting how they filmed that, because they shot all the live-action stuff first, and then projected it into a room, the finished footage. And then they used the life-sized projections next to the stop-motion skeletons and had to animate it frame by frame next to the projector, next to the projections, and then sort of splice those together, as opposed to trying to stop motion both the humans and the skeletons.
Well, and even more clever is that, yeah, then they had to match the skeletons' action sequences to fit the way the humans, you know, acted, their swings and sword clashes. So it was just, like, incredible for the era and what they could do. And it's just such a well-done scenes with the way they map everything over each other.
And it works with, like, it still kind of holds up that skeleton animation.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it compared to, like, I don't know, what are those, the new stop-motion studio movies? It still looks pretty good.
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, if you look, so things like Kubo and the Two Strings.
Yeah, those
was
people.
Just stunning. Although I'm pulling up, I've just pulled the fight up on YouTube now.
Yeah, I actually used the fight footage for an old song I released for Halloween 2 years ago.
What is quite funny is that for a lot of these skeletons, they've done the exact same. A lot of these skeletons are moving identically, so I'm thinking they might have, for some of these shots, they might have animated a single skeleton and then spliced them all across the screen.
Yeah, and looped and stuff.
Repeated them to, yeah. Like, it's been one of the saddest parts about studying animation was learning just how much animators cheat.
Oh yeah,
like how little animation there actually is in animation. Think like 70% of the time the body is completely still, and you'll have like the character will sometimes blink, and then you've just got the lip sync and maybe a hand move every now and then. Like fucking Rick and Morty is so it's so fucking guilty of doing that, because all the effort of that show goes into its backgrounds.
Yeah, and writing. So it's like the characters themselves are just sort of on there, which is fine, but it's like at least I'll take that over. And here's the thing too. It's like you can do all that with 2D stuff. So I don't know why. Well, I know why, but it's like I hate the fact that the onus now is everything is 3D filmed. So now even the famous Disney princess movies are all that damn 3D Pixar-looking aesthetic, like Moana or Frozen or Tangled. And I think to myself, especially with Moana, because, you know, so you've got this Hawaiian scene, all these big tropical lush scenes and the magic and everything, and I'm like, how good that would have looked if it were like Princess and the Frog. You know, these big 2D backdrops and the big colorful, and, you know, you think of like the Dr. Fusiye, the Friends on the Other Side music scene, and I'm like, damn it, I hate the fact that we don't do those anymore.
Oh god, yes. I mean, we were talking about this in the last podcast as well, just how much we miss having the 2D things, but I also miss having fully developed villains. Like, on the one hand, like Disney is really loving being able to surprise us with villains instead. Like, oh, it was actually this villain, or I know it's really weird to say this, but sometimes it's okay to not have a three-dimensional, fucking villain whose motivations make complete sense because of a tragedy in his life. Sometimes it's just really fun to have a villain who likes being evil.
Yeah.
Like, that has been one of the most enjoyable things that I've been adding to Untypical's script, is that one of the villains is exactly like that. He has no motivation beyond he just likes being evil. He has so much fun being a dick.
Yeah, that was
that's his motivation.
No, I know. That was sort of my setup for the engineer with the fast whip / lockjaw character, is that he's just, an evil slaver. And then, when they leave and they, fuck him up with the machine gun, then he's a little bit more vengeful, but it's the same essential, like, evil force. And then, of course, a lot of the real conflict in that is their own guilt and their own actions, screwing each other up, or frickin' Amber Horn rushing into things and getting her dad killed and everything.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. So I tried to make it solid, but I'm like, in this case, he really just does need to be like an ominous force. Like the wasteland itself is just like all those analogies about how the walls separate them and they keep the wasteland at bay. And it's like, just this force of nature, which is what I was going for. So. Yeah,
absolutely. I think that's, I remember I actually quite liked Lockjaw. Like, I haven't re-listened to... I've only ever listened to The Engineer through once. Because,
no, I know. It's so fucking long.
Because it is so ridiculously long. Like, I think I've listened to... I'm just trying to remember now. I know I've listened to the other three... To the first three and number 5 more than once. Like, I think 5 I've listened to twice, 1 I've listened to twice. I actually kind of lost count of how many times I've listened through The Ghoul Doctor, because it is still the best. It's the German accent. It's the German accent.
He does a great job with it.
It's just okay. I'm just everybody's pervy grandfather who keeps... like, fucking... he's just he's just a 250-year-old glowing ghoul who probably has a better sex life than you.
Technically, they're all grave robbers because they're all undead.
Well, I mean, technically he's not a grave robber because Tulip is also like 250. Well, no, she's like what, 200 years old? Like, there's not.
She's like 240. I think I'm trying to remember now. Is when they get sealed up and then everything goes screwy. He was like 65 and she was like 40. Is sort of how I set it up. So.
Oh, okay. I actually kind of assumed that Tulip was. I always assumed Tulip was in her 30s. That he was like. That it was like that kind of thing where
it's something like
had
that.
they been, like the way I kind of always assumed it was that they wouldn't have been in a relationship at first, but once they hit sort of the 100-year mark, they're kind of like, okay, you know what? We're probably going to live forever. What does 50? What does 30 years actually matter at this point?
No,
it doesn't. It doesn't count as. It doesn't count as grave robbing when. It doesn't count as cradle robbing when you're 150 years old, and they're like that 30-year difference is nothing at that point.
No. So it's it was fun to play with. Yeah. What else? What were we talking about before?
We have a fairly we've got a fairly we actually have comments. We do actually have questions in the comments section.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just go up a little bit higher. There is a lot of people asking about tits. How are we doing? Hard on for the Batmobile. Saw the new Wasteland Survival Guide. What do y'all think would be a good shelter when in zombie or feral ghoul country? That's a great question, actually.
For me, it's always walls. I always like just big concrete walls and then, scaffolding so you can go around the side of the walls. I very much like, in my modified Fallout 4 playthrough, it's all castles in one way or another that I built.
Walls are always great. In my mind, you want to have you want to have spike pits. Fucking, if you're going to be staying there for a very long time, then you can take the time to fucking dig yourself a little moat type thing.
Yes.
And just shove some spikes into it. If you don't have the time, that's okay. Just sharpen the spikes. Because the feral ghouls the feral ghouls don't have the forethought to think to themselves, oh shit, there are spikes that I need to avoid that are kind of pointing directly at me. They're just going to run full speed into them. And even if the spikes don't kill them, they are going to keep them pinned there.
Yes.
So fucking that would be my suggestion. Once again, like all the things in the shelters section, and I actually wouldn't mind doing a shelters part 2, because there's how deep your shelter is depends on how long you're planning on staying in that location. You know, if you are a caravaner on the road, you're not going to want to stay in one location for more than a few hours, you know, to rest up and feed your crew and whatever mercenaries you have with you. But you might have some groups that for some reason or another might have to stay in a location for a very long time, whether or not they are guards on patrol outside of a town or scouts or something like that. In which case, you know, I think I'd actually quite like to do a chapter on those shelters. Yeah.
No, I at least when I first heard it, I
but
interpreted it as part 1 of like a series of, all right, this is like a shelter, like if you're like traveling or whatever, and then you could build like, you know, a house chapter or like a castle chapter or a town chapter, and it just keeps stacking on like that.
Yes, actually, now that I think about it, I think I will write a part 2 to shelters for people who have to stay in a location for like, let's say 3 days to 2 weeks. What you need to do to build that kind of shelter.
Because I know that's what I'm doing now is I'm writing like chunks of, you know, chapters that we'll lay out at the end. Everything fitting into their sections.
I'm still fucking staring at this chapter on knots, which the problem with the knots chapter that I'm busy working on, which I've been working on for like 2 months now.
Oh my gosh.
The problem is that in order to describe, is that I don't want to just copy and paste the descriptions of how to do these knots off of the sites that I've been using as research.
No.
Because obviously, you know, that's plagiarism. But So essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking these sites and I've got my own fucking string and shit with me, and I'm attempting to recreate the knots and then describe it in my own words. This is what I did with the shelters chapter. But the problem is that trying to recreate those knots just based purely off of poor descriptions from people is really, really hard. So currently the draft of the chapter that I'm working on now has Derpy getting really, really pissed off at the concept of knots.
Yeah.
And she is full-on grumpy in this chapter, and it is really funny, but the actual survival elements of the chapter are killing me at the moment.
Yeah, I thought that would be great. It's like then halfway through she was like, okay, fuck it. This is how you find glue and duct tape. I always thought that would be good.
That's probably a good idea, yeah. Right, what next in the comments?
Actually, that's a good thing in general. We need a chapter on scavenging, or a couple chapters on scavenging. We haven't added that yet. You should see our chat sometime. Well, public. You'll see them when they develop. But our chat is full of like, hey, what if we do this chapter and this chapter? It's like it's going to be a good series when it's all put together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now that we're properly in the flow of our Wasteland Survival Guide, it's nice to have that. It's always difficult to find time to sit down and stockpile scripts, though.
Yeah.
Like on the one hand, it's really, really great because because the chapters are so short, it's like once you sit down and you are in the mood and fucking you've got the ideas down, you've got your notes. Writing down the Wasteland Survival Guide is really easy because you can knock out 4 or 5 chapters at once, and then it's like, okay, cool. Between these 4 or 5 chapters, our once every 2 weeks upload schedule and whatever else, and the chapters Skybot's doing, these 4 chapters will keep me covered for like 5 months.
Exactly. That's why I'm doing groups, is that we stack them up and then chop them into, bits, like 5 bits or something, and then release them accordingly.
Because what's really, really cool, a good way of thinking about this is that if you got to remember that a year is it's about 52 weeks. So if you are, this is always advice that I give to people, especially on the audio drama and podcast subreddits, because I've seen a few people on there beginners asking, well, what should we do for the first time? And one of the things I always suggest is, make a short form series like what we do with the Wasteland Survival Guide or Anthem Logs, where it's 5 minutes long. You can release it once every 2 weeks because to cover a year's worth of content, you only need 25 episodes. And if you're lucky enough to have a co-writer, like with Skybot and myself, you only have to write 12 episodes each, and you are covered for a year. Like that's not a lot of writing to do to keep you covered for that amount of time.
It really isn't. And we have a lot of ideas, and we're going to keep adding to it at least through 2018. And I think by the end of 2018, we should have a wrap on almost everything big. That's sort of my long-term plan, is that we'll have all of these original 3 main series pretty much done, and then continue from there and whatever, or we'll see what happens. Because we've got luckily the movie coming out in the fall, which is exciting. That should give a little bit more extension to the fan base as well, and then we see where things go after that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What movie?
And now that I think about it, I'm just looking at at the scripts that I've handed in, and all the scripts and the last few scripts that I've jumped in. I think it's been way too long since I've handed in and written a lore chapter. Because I think it was mid-May when the last lore chapter went up, and I think I'm ashamed of myself.
Yeah, the Amoria's loins. Oh my gosh.
Amoria's loins.
I did have fun drawing the art for that, though. I thought I tried to be very clever.
Yeah, no, that was a good one. That was a real good piece of art, Mr. Skyball.
I enjoy doing the art for all of these. I try to put myself in the derpy mindset, but I also try to be creative with them. So, yeah.
All right, how's the chat doing? Oh, question for me. I always like when I almost never get questions.
I can't check them because my phone doesn't do that.
Okay.
My computer wasn't updating since the first of the chat, like since before the first chat. Like since before our podcast started, our computer's been updating. It just finished now.
Nice.
So I've been on my phone.
So this is actually kind of funny. I was just thinking now, because I got really excited at actually having a question delivered to me for once. I was thinking back to the last podcast. Someone did the very first comment we got was a commenter saying, "Vermont, I'll be your fan." After me bitching about the fact that everyone had a fan except for me. We got Oakheart fans in the chat. We got Neil Stitch fans. We got Skybolt fans.
Oh.
Where's the Vermont love?
Oh.
There's no Vermont love.
No, I don't get any love either. So I mean, don't worry, we're okay. We're on the same page here. The only love I give when I'm getting told to tell you to shut up.
DJ Pony loves everyone.
How do you write your scripts? How do you write a good, endearing, and pivotal conversation in your works? Good Lord. Could I trade questions, please?
First, you take your pants off.
First, to take my pants off. This is the Pantless Podcast.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Wait,
yes, as you can tell, my little brother is still here.
Yeah, James is continuing to be a bad brother. Hello, small child.
The small child is being forbidden to talk to you.
Why?
Go away.
No.
You were stating.
Favorite scene in Fallout Equestria when Lil Pip dies.
That's you.
That's the best scene. She finally goes away.
No.
What makes a moment interesting?
Alrighty then.
And what makes that moment so interesting? Yeah, we covered that. Bloodbones and Oakheart kind of predicts the... yeah, I know. Kind of predicts the next 2 episodes where Needle dies. I liked it because...
Everything went super silent.
Yeah, I'm reading through the chat here. The questions are a little bit scattered, but we'll catch up. Would you all ever do a full TV show? No. Especially not after Stable-Tech's attempt at making an animated series. Oh yay! I did the mercenary demo. I'm glad you liked that. Yeah, what I watched to get inspiration was the gangster. I almost said Gangster's Paradise. Damn it! Been living most of our lives. No, I watched Gangster Squad, which was actually about Sean Penn. It starred Sean Penn about a Chicago gangster who became a major player in L.A. and basically moved the Chicago Mafia to L.A. or a chunk of it, and so that was a thing. And so yeah, I tried my best there. I thought it was fun. A chapter on keeping yourself entertained with hobbies in the ways. Oh, that could be fun too. A chapter maybe on like finding magazines or like wiring up to get a radio going or TV show. And Vermont dropped out. It looks like they have to plug in the the Cecil Rhodes telegraph line again. Someone must have tripped over it. A chapter on family, friends, and factions. Factions, I'd say, is something that James does mostly. He's working on his lore chapters, and he had his Great War Players chapter. But like family and friends, like social bonding, yeah, we definitely have to work on something like that. It's an all-in-one sort of like, because see, my inspiration for a little bit is the zombie survival guide. In the same way that I sort of inspired Confessions off of World War Z, I thought the zombie survival guide would be a great way to inspire off of this. But then, of course, we're bringing in the Fallout Equestria, the Derpy as the voice, and our own little spins and mixes. Do you have a plan B if YouTube becomes any worse than it already is? Yeah, I know YouTube is shit, but I don't know if they could outright ban our content, at least because we really try to stay pretty neutral in a lot of things, so we're not too edgy. But, yeah, if we ever got assaulted on, like, Patreon, like, if that went down, well, it'd go back to the way things were anyway, and, we'd probably focus our releases then through, like, Bandcamp and then spread the word virally through things like Facebook and Twitter, like we already tried to do anyway, just to get more views. Yes, Ancient Adult Mags, that would be a funny chapter. Yeah, no, we actually have an idea similar to that we've been talking about, so we'll see what becomes of that. Oh, here's one you might answer, Ryan. Anyone play any Metro games? Thoughts or comparisons to Fallout?
I have not played any Metro games, I don't think.
Okay, and I have not either, so we might not be too helpful there. I saw the trailer for that Metro Exodus, which looked kind of neat, and looks like a sort of planned cross Russia, the Russian post-nuclear wasteland, which I think would be cool. Like, especially if you like went all the way east to like Vostok or whatever, the side of Russia by Japan, and then back over to like St. Petersburg. That could be cool, like crossing the whole of the wasteland. I always thought that was one of the only limiting factors of Fallout, was everything is contained in sort of like one area, like frickin' Boston or whatever. It's like, I think the DLC are best when you can go to another location.
Hello, can anyone hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Oh my god. There we go. Oh my god. So I don't know if you guys saw my comment in the comment section.
Vermont's internet is effing out. That one?
So that one dude asked, so yeah, I spoke for about 2 minutes trying to answer that one dude's question about writing emotional scenes for characters, only to realize that my internet had fucked out and you guys hadn't heard a word I said.
Oh no!
Yeah. Also, I did play the Metro game, so I have 2 things to talk about before my internet goes away again.
Go
God
ahead.
damn it. God fucking damn it, guys. One of these days, I swear to God, one of these fucking days, we're going to have a podcast with all of us in a room together so that we don't have shit like this.
Oh, how kick-ass would that be? That'd be awesome.
Dude,
No,
That would
but you see, then the internet's going to go out on all of us at the same time.
Yeah.
that's probably going to happen, but what fucking... Oh god! Honestly, I think that is like one of the things that I want more than anything, is to be able to actually work with you motherfuckers like, in person. We would be able to get so much more work done if we didn't have to liaise through the internet.
We have to all meet in a middle point somewhere, like the Azores. It's this is somewhere between all of us.
It'd be like somewhere in Florida, wouldn't it?
I'm pretty sure the middle point between all of us is like somewhere in the fucking ocean.
We have to think of the weighting, because we've got 2 or 3 major players in Britain, and then we've got West Coast, me and Needle, and we've got, Snow Mexico with Ryan and stuff. So it's, there's weighting.
And there's poor me in South Africa, so I'm basically... Although personally, all of you motherfuckers should move down here.
So I'd say Azores.
It's more because the all of your dollars will be worth 16 times what they're worth.
I'm in Canada. Our money's tanked right now, thanks to Trudeau.
Yeah, that was kind of sad, actually. I remember in 2013, I visited Winnipeg when our dollars were just about the same. It was like perfect timing. And the Canadian dollar was actually worth more like a few years ago, but then everything went down.
The Canadian dollar is worth like $1.10 American, was at the highest for like 2 weeks, and then just tanked right down to 90 cents, and then went back about even. Trudeau got in, and we just been on a steady decline ever since.
Well, I mean, you sold your entire gold reserves. Like, what the fuck?
To be fair, though, it is still 10 South African rand to 1 Canadian dollar.
Kenyatta.
So, it could be worse.
That is. I'm not going to complain about that one, but you are true. You are right.
At least we're all better than Zimbabwe. What is it, like 10 trillion Zimbabwean somethings to normal money?
Yeah, Zimbabwe is not great though. Fucking we got really, really bad for a while. Before the Brexit, it was 25 South African rand to £1.
Oh.
Like, that was just ridiculous. And I think the pound is now actually worth slightly less than the dollar.
No, I think it's still higher. Let me see here. Let's pull up the xe.com, the greatest money exchange website ever. A euro is $1.15, and a pound is $1.30. So no, it's still still significantly better.
It's still a little bit higher because it is now. Yeah, it's 17.26 South African rand to £1 British pound, and the dollar is holy fuck.
Yeah, a rand is about 7.5 cents.
Yeah, and there's 13.38 South African rand to $1. You know, do you know that in 1990 there was a point where it was the other way around, and it was $2 to 1 South African rand.
Oh, really? Interesting.
That happened once. I think it was in the aftermath of Mandela's release.
Oh yeah,
But it was somewhere in the 90s where we were actually worth more. We actually had a stronger currency than America.
Noise.
Fucking, I don't know. So I don't know which politician in America fucked things up for your currency to drop so low while ours rose so high, but it must have been really, really fucking...
Well, we're in a weird place anyway, like 100-year decline thanks to the Federal Reserve, where money is so much worthless than it used to be. But, global banking, that's a whole different beast.
I'm not even going to try and understand global banking.
No, I hunt every day, and it's like you'll never get all the knowledge. You just get some.
So who asked a question about Metro?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead and give you... What's your perspective of Metro games, and how do they compare to the Fallout games?
Okay, so honestly... So Metro is really, really interesting because I really like a lot of the mechanics that we're presented with. The fact that when you go above onto the ground and it's so ridiculously toxic there. So you've got to wear a mask. But the more damage you take, your mask gets shattered, and essentially while you're on the ground. While you are above ground, you're kind of like 45% focused on finishing your objective and 55% focused on trying to find more fucking oxygen tanks for your mask. I do. It's like because the timer on your oxygen tank is ridiculously fucking short. So it feels a lot more apocalyptic and dangerous than the Fallout world, but I think that beyond that and their currency system, it's definitely inferior. Look, it wants to accomplish something different to Fallout. That's true. So, because Fallout is in a lot of sense, it is black comedy, it is political satire, it's everything satire.
Yeah.
Fallout wants to be comedic. A lot less so during the Bethesda era, but definitely if you look at what Obsidian did with it, and also Bethesda, a lot of parts of Bethesda's Fallout 3 kind of, and what the original Black Isle and Interplay studios did with it. Fallout has been in the hands of so many developers. It was Interplay, then Black Isle, then Bethesda, then Obsidian, then Bethesda again.
Yeah, it's really been passed around, so to speak.
Which is kind of funny considering that it's essentially being passed back and forth by the same people because Bethesda twice, and Interplay was the publisher for Black Isle, and then Black Isle became Obsidian. So it's like fucking it's technically all the same, but it's technically all the same people. Who just keep sort of passing it around between each other. Because I think one of the original Fallout writers is now working for Bethesda.
Yeah, it's sort of all over the place, but I still feel like the general spirit of the series is still there. It's still mostly
the general. Yeah. The one thing that I really loved about Metro that I absolutely adored was its currency system was bullets.
Oh yeah, just like in real life. That's absolutely how it'd be.
So I think that was one of the most intelligent systems they did there. Was that whenever you find a shop, you've got this dilemma of, do I want to buy this thing, or do I want to save this bullet so that I can shoot someone with it?
Those decisions are always fun.
It's a really, really great mechanic and a great decision. So I love that. And it works better in that context, in a gameplay context, than Fallout's bottle caps. But once again, Fallout's bottle caps support the weird and wonderful world of Fallout that we absolutely adore.
Yeah, no, it is a clever, well, of course, and just like the original writers, is the whole idea of the Fallout bottle caps is part satire, because the Nuka-Cola, of course, it's all plays on consumerism and everything about how much frickin' soda was existing right before the war. And realistically, logically, it does make sense, because it's like, that you can only stamp caps in a certain way where it's an official bottling press, like a big assembly line kind of machine, so that creates the necessary scarcity for fiat currency to work. Because the thing with currency, especially fiat currency, if you flood the market with it, it decreases in value. And so that's how central banks work, is they play with each other's currency supplies. And so then you have some place like Venezuela, which is like the same as Zimbabwe, where it's like they just keep printing money and it keeps getting just as worthless as it was before. So yeah,
exactly. Like you can't you can't actually print, that was one of those things that I used to think when I was really, really young, was like, what do you mean the country, how can a country run out of money? Just print more. And then, of course, I got older and I was like, oh, shit, that's why.
Yeah, some people don't learn even as they get older, like Bernie Sanders. But it's okay, It's like we have normal people that still run things.
Heyo.
What else do we have in the comments section?
Me making fun of the other genders that aren't the main two.
I don't know. I don't think we should take that risk.
I hit it pretty well. I think.
Where can you?
Survival guide, occupation.
There have been some interesting chapters that I've seen. I think Needle suggested a really, really good one on sleep deprivation.
Yeah, we could write a day 5 kind of episode.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Well, what's really cool is the fact that Derpy doesn't need to sleep. So what Needle was suggesting is that she does her best to stalk another pony and follow his sleep patterns. But because it's Derpy, she's really, really bad at stealth.
Yeah, that would be really great, actually. So she keeps screwing up the order of everything.
Yeah, she sent me... Needle sent me a demo for a part of the script, and I actually really, really liked it. So you guys can expect something like that coming soon.
Yeah, no, that is fun. I remember that's why I tried to bring it up in The Ghoul Doctor, about how their entire biology is just rewired, so they don't really need sleep. All they need is the radiation. So it's it's interesting.
The...
Okay, James died. So, yeah, in general, we've had a lot of great Wasteland Survival Guide ideas. It's like, once I was finally able to settle in my new house, no more freaking moving bullshit, it's like, we're, sitting down and we're really working out a whole bunch of great episodes, and we're getting a better, queue built up, so we'll be able to release them, hopefully, on a regular schedule. So we'll, we have a lot of great ideas, and as long as Needle doesn't break any more bones or anything, we should be fine.
Or get strep throat again. Like, if she breaks her back, it's fine. She can still voice act. She can voice act from a wheelchair.
Oh my gosh! She's gonna love this episode.
Yeah, it's a good. I really hope she doesn't re-listen to this entire episode, or I am going to be in so much fucking trouble.
Yeah, in case anyone's wondering, she's like Captain Pike, or Admiral Pike was in the original Star Trek series. She's in a chair now, and she just makes beeps.
Yeah. And I don't really need... So if she could, not make beeps, we need her to just have normal speaky voice. The rest of the body can be powered. Just as long as she can still speak and voice act.
Yeah, her voice has changed just a little bit. She's like Stephen Hawking now, where everything's through a speak and spell.
See, it might actually be.
Oh my
it might actually be a little bit better for us if we. It might actually be a little bit better for us if Needle Stitch was crippled from the neck down, because then she wouldn't be able to leave her house and she could just voice act. Yeah, I can.
We're absolutely terrible. Yeah, she's like the Oracle now from frickin' Batman. Her Batgirl days are over. She's the Oracle now. Such terrible. Well, let's see. All right, we have a few new questions. Is there a Fallout question?
I can hear my internet starting to break up again.
Okay, bye, James. Is there internet lore about a pony version of Sierra Madre? Oh, you just wait. In due time. I'm working on something very similar to that. Hello?
Hello?
We can hear you?
Yes, there we go. My internet's gone.
Okay, rip James.
Rip James right in two.
Right in two. Can't they live without radiation? I always thought that it gave them a magical boost. I'm not 100% sure, at least the way, at least Dr. Greenshift's, because it's not absolute, but it's his perspective is that they can live off of radiation solely if they want. As far as living without radiation, it's still a little bit up to decision, but I remember that was a major issue they were dealing with at the end of the original novel, was they had to go to places that hadn't been magically cleansed by the Gardens of Equestria for the ghouls, so it is a plot point, and that was the core creation of Dr. Greenshift's character, was having a ghoul working on a cure to ghoulism so we could solve that problem someday, maybe. Skybolt is now evil. I've always been evil. I'm a dark hero, like Seto Kaiba.
When has Skybolt ever not been evil?
I know, right? It's like...
As long as I've known you, like back in Stable Tech, you've been evil.
Screw the rules, I have money, so...
Basically.
Screw
the rules, I have your money.
Oh my gosh. Hilarious at the same time. Yeah, pony version of Sierra Madre. There is a name, but you won't know it quite yet. It's still in production. Is Trudeau the Obama of Canada? I think of Trudeau and his dad Pierre like the Browns of California, freaking Moonbeam and his dad. That's a very California perspective, but that's how I see it.
I do not like Trudeau.
Yeah.
As I posted in there about what I think about his core belief system that got him into office.
Yeah, that's okay. He's a very, very successful drama teacher, and that's what matters for, national government.
Yes. We basically just wanted Harper out, not necessarily Trudeau in. Now we realize that was a mistake.
Yeah.
We've learned from our mistake.
That's okay. But no. So it's gonna be great. Now that I'm settled in, I'm almost settled in. I shouldn't say that absolutely, but I'm mostly settled in, and so we'll have the rest of the year that we're working hard on great writing things, and we're almost ready to release Terminal Secrets 4 and Confession 6. It's just a few things we had to work out, and they should be coming very soon. Shoot, what else is there to talk about?
Well, considering how there's no questions,
I know.
I have one for you.
Go for it.
That's completely unrelated to EAST Corp.
Oh God.
I did a thing on my channel,
Oh, here we go.
a song,
I'm back.
and yay!
Yay.
Anyway, I did a song on my channel, and I tried to do clean vocals.
Okay.
I failed miserably.
Oh no.
Do you think you can help me? Like, as I'm recording it, I'm like, I know I'm failing. This sounds horrible. Like, I can admit I don't sing clean vocals. Can you help me out with this one?
With
It's
with singing?
four
Oh my
lines.
gosh.
It's like 4 lines.
It's 4 lines. Sure. Yeah, it's singing's very very particular. It depends on the kind of person like singing, of course. So like everyone has sort of different vocal stylings and approaches. Like a lot of my original
Mine was not a style of vocals.
Okay.
Mine was just a disappointment.
Oh.
That was basically my style of vocals on that one.
Oh. Yeah, I get most of my singing influences from like musicals, like Disney, like animated musicals and like Broadway kind of stuff, and then I've like added in a cornucopia of stuff on top of that. But it's mostly just practice. It's just doing it over and over again until it does sound better.
I mean, the Broadway ones can be heard all over Fall of an Empire.
So for cleaner vocals, definitely diction is important. Like, being able to enunciate every syllable and every word properly. Because, like, one thing that I hate is, like, mushmouth vocals, which is, like, Dave Matthews. Oh, my gosh. Every time Dave Matthews sings, I just want to go on stage and, call a DEA agent and arrest him right there. But it's like, but the music is good, which is sort of the Occam's razor, the double-edged sword. That's just me, though. That's my perspective.
Like with this version here, like I did the vocals the way I do vocals. Like I like to do the growling, heaviest of death metal vocals.
And that is
but
not
then there
my
was
experience.
there was just one spot where I slowed down everything and had like a clean section and tried to do clean vocals. It did not work.
Yeah.
I failed it.
Oh. It is practice. So like you could probably do those, the grungy like hard vocals a lot better than me. Like I've done little dabbles, but it's not my forte at all. So
yeah, like I've noticed in the what's version I'm looking for? Your cover of a Disturbed.
Oh yeah,
Disturbed,
Sound of Silence.
where I've noticed that like you had that little bit of a growl in the vocal, but it wasn't like a growling vocal.
Yeah, it wasn't super pronounced.
It was just like poking at it, but it wasn't actually there.
Yeah, you gotta prod it, just the tip. It's my best suggestion would be find a song similar to that and then just like listen to that and practice it over and over again. So it's like that's usually my approach to things, is like listen to 2 or 3 things that are in the vein of what you want to do, and then create it from there, or modify it to fit your version from there. So because that's how most art is anyway. It's very derivative in general. Like, everything follows, for the most part, 3-act structures, and a lot of things are, like, hampered by the necessity of human understanding, or, like the octaves, the rules of music. So it's very interesting. The philosophy of art. Yeah, man. Philosophy of art. It's so colorful.
I tried a few things. Like I tried to do like my own, like use my own voice for like a choir type thing by like recording my same thing like 3 times and have it panned to each side.
Yeah.
And 4 times, panned each side and then panned half each side. And so I tried that one and I got it all sound the same, but none of it matched.
Yeah, layering is good, but it can also be tricky. Like, it's a great way to, like, make sound more full and to also, like, smooth out sounds if you're not 100% comfortable with with the tonality. Like if you think you can drift off key sometimes, layering's good because then you have like two versions that sort of like find a middle point. So it definitely helps smooth things out. I do that sometimes when it's like a higher pitch thing, like when you're up in the tenors, because my range is very baritone-esque. Like I can hit some tenor stuff, but once it gets high enough, it's like, okay, let's double this up. So it's like Linkin Park. Like there are some Linkin Park songs I like, but I can only sing certain ones of them because he can get really up there. So it's like I would have done a New Divide parody a long time ago if I could actually sing the verses of New Divide, but I can't. I can only sing like the intro to the choruses when it's down there.
Yeah, I was doing I'm needed somewhere else.
I do have to go in half an hour myself, but we're still here and we're still hanging out.
Food's ready.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I was losing my train of thought now.
Clean vocals.
Yeah, it was on the clean vocals. It was Temple of Blood. The guy does clean vocals on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole band, the guy does clean vocals. The guy's voice. Like I thought I had a high voice. The guy was doing an octave above me, I thought, like for a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Puberty,
some of
man,
those,
look it
like,
up.
Michael Jackson motherfuckers. I don't know how they do it. Like, I'm fairly certain Michael Jackson was actually a eunuch who had his balls removed when he was 12, and then that's how he does it.
Like your voice, it's supposed to be going so high, and then you get puberty and it goes down.
Yeah.
But his just kind of kept going up.
Yeah, it's weird with some people. It's the way genes work and stuff. It's all over the place. Let's see if we have any other questions in the chat. Have y'all watched the Cornetto Ice Cream trilogy? Which is your favorite? Mine is The World's End. The World's End was good. I'd say my favorite was probably Hot Fuzz. I really like Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's I don't think I've ever met anyone who's ever said that World's End was their favorite of the three, which is, I mean, I loved The World's End, but definitely Hot Fuzz was the strongest in my mind. Shaun of the Dead being a close second.
Yeah, I had different.
Since he's here, I'm gonna go eat.
All right, see you later, Ryan. Yeah, I have a lot of like zombie movies I'd seen before that, which were more like what I expect when I see a zombie movie. So when I did see Shaun of the Dead, I thought it was like neat and funny, but it's like it didn't really leave that much of an impression on me. But then Hot Fuzz, I thought was just. I personally thought it was much funnier and had better action and a stronger sort of layout. That's just me. Yeah.
Of course, naturally, because I got my start in the film industry as a video editor, and I did that for 2 years before becoming a writer. I really just, that was what first attracted me to Edgar Wright, was just, holy the editing in his films is like nothing in most other media. I still kind of like, I hold Scott Pilgrim versus the World, like its editing is up there with fucking Chicago's.
Okay.
Like just that visual style and that editing. So, and Hot Fuzz had that more so than any of the other Edgar Wright films. Although I'm assuming that to pull off Baby Driver, the editing there must also be pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah,
considering the critical reaction to Baby Driver, I think it's probably going to be blowing the Cornetto Three Flavors trilogy out of the water. I mean, what's it sitting at? I mean, fuck, it is just. Everyone is loving this movie.
Well, they've got commercials saying how certified fresh it is, which is, it's kind of neat, but also kind of interesting going into a very tomato-driven world now with movie ratings, because it's going to create, I think, a lot of false hype. And so, like, some movies that are quote-unquote certified fresh, like Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, might not necessarily be good movies. You know, you have to sort of take that with a grain of salt, which I like to think most people understand that, but every day that passes, I think less and less of that. I think people are going to start using the number like it is, like a Yelp of movies.
Although, to be fair, I think Baby Driver, in that trailer that it did do, I think at that time it did it could get away with using its Rotten Tomatoes review score in its trailer because of the fact that it was 100%. So, like, even if it was 99%, that would be like, okay, that's a bit cringy, you're pushing it too far. But because it was like fucking every single critic who saw that movie at the time of that trailer's release loved it. And that's like, it but I do see what you mean. Like, we are going into this world where your review score and your ratings map. And I do think that we put too much stock in review scores and numbers, and I am not a fan of numbered scores.
And it's also like the who's rating it too, is that like the general like critic mindset is a lot different than the general audience mindset. And so then you see one of these like really, really kind of, you know, screwy art house movies that most people would probably think are boring as hell, but for one critic, they really love it because it does, like, I don't know, lighting in a very specific way that everyone loves. And it's like, and that's cool if that's your audience, is the kind of critic avant-garde mindset, but it's like then the general audience might hate it. So it's sort of like, and that's sort of like the ultimate play in movies is, are you going to be as artsy as you want, or are you going to be as economical as you want? And it's sort of, I think, in my opinion, the most successful movies are the ones that can do both. So
they're trying to find that line between writing for the critics and writing for the audience is difficult. Yeah. Or not necessarily writing for critics, but writing for the film literate. Yeah. You know, it's always quite difficult, I find, to try and to tell a story that you know that the audience is going to like it, because you want the audience to not be working hard when they're taking in your product. But for the critics, you want to try and write something that does challenge people and that does make them think. So it's like, how do you not make your audience work hard, but how do you also challenge them? Which I don't know if you saw Arrival, but I thought that was a film that walked that line perfectly.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Arrival, but I could go into that another day. Yeah, Arrival hit a lot of the red flags for me as far as pretentious sci-fi goes, which really pissed me off. Like, even halfway through, it's like, there's no such thing as a magic language that makes you see through time. That's bullshit. And it's like, for me, it's like, okay, you want to be sci-fi, but at the same time, you're making this premise completely unrealistic. If the heptapods, the giant squid people, can see through time using their language, that's cool. It's not the language making them see through time. It's some freaking organ in their fucking, you know, cephalopods. Humans, it doesn't matter what the hell you're looking at, you're not going to be able to understand it in the same way. That's something that Mass Effect actually did well with the Protheans, is they had these goofy-ass towers that shot memories into your brain about, like, hey, watch out for the big squid robots. But it's like, people couldn't really interpret it because the way that Protheans or Prometheans or whatever communicate was different than the modern evolved human and other sentient species. And so it's like, yes, the way you read it is important. So it's like, if you have some text like pre-Rosetta Stone Egyptian hieroglyphs, it's like, man, they really like drawing fucking birds on the wall. It's like, that's cool. You don't understand that it's language or how it's to be interpreted without a Rosetta Stone. So it's like, what that movie needed was some kind of, I don't know, a rock or a computer or a flashing light, like in, this is the worst movie ever, but Battlefield Earth, they had the machine where they pumped, you know, the magic information into their eyes so you could understand how to spell their names. And, but at least it made logical sense. Whereas Arrival is just, you know, just pretentious as all fuck for a ham-fisted idea of like, oh, we gotta make people talk together and communicate with the Chinese, you know, who are gonna nuke the thing because they're not communist enough. And it's like, I get that, but I'm like, this is the absolute worst possible way to explain that. So, yeah, you
I don't know. Like, honestly, I felt that I was willing to suspend my disbelief in that area. I know that with sci-fi, asking for suspension of disbelief rather than explaining things is not particularly, it's not particularly professional. But then it also really does depend on what kind of sci-fi you're looking at. You know, you don't exactly. The last time they tried to explain the Force, we all got really, really pissed off at the concept of midichlorians.
Yes, that's a little bit different.
Like, I run in the idea that not everything in sci-fi needs to be explained, depending on what sci-fi story you're telling. You know, Star Trek requires explanation because they tried to keep everything vaguely grounded in reality, or in some form of it. Same with a lot of Mass Effect. Arrival, in my mind, didn't seem to be interested in doing that. It was more focused on the philosophies behind what it was saying rather than the science. Which, like, so what I kind of like once I sort of realized that Arrival doesn't really care about the logistics of science, then I'm kind of willing to completely forgive that and just stick with the story. Like, yes, it's pretentious, but it is the best kind of pretentious in my mind, especially when you compare it to the awful-ass Oscar films that we had offered up as a selection. Yes, Arrival's pretentious, but it is a stone's throw fucking less pretentious than Moonlight and La La Land.
Oh, no kidding. Yes, I would absolutely give Arrival the Oscar over one of those two. Frickin' I mean...
Like, at least Arrival tried to do something
those were Oscar-Bation movies.
Different.
They weren't actually movies. They were just giving the frickin', you know, the people of the Academy a hand job.
Exactly. Fucking Arrival tried to do something different because, you know, rather than discussing things like issues of sex and race and growing up, it chose to discuss language and how we connect with each other. When was the last time that we saw a movie that discussed connection and language and how we speak? Like, that's and considering that we live in this era of social media where people talk about how we are connected but disconnected, I think movies and discussions on connection are more important than ever. I'd say they're actually more important. I think that's a more important social issue for us to look at right now than almost any other social issue, because it's something that affects everyone, regardless of your orientation or your race or your gender or your age.
Yeah, no, the general ideas of it are interesting. I just, like, the other thing, too, I hate is the sci-fi trope of alien Jesus. It really burns my toes. Okay, so these creatures came to Earth just to have this elaborate, like game of cat and mouse. It's like a frickin', you know, the holy test in order to, you need to understand the languages of, to be able to see through time, and they're just magically bestowing it on us for fuck all reason. It's like, it's almost like some of those 50s movies, was it The Day the Earth Stood Still was kind of similar to that, where they came to be like, hey, don't use nukes and stuff. It's like, but then they have this, like, world-ending robot. It's like, well, we have nukes, but you have this, like, indestructible robot that you then threaten people with. So it's like, it's kind of self-defeating, you know? It's like, you can't have alien Jesuses, and then you find out that it's a false god, where it's like, it's not really Jesus, it's more like Cthulhu. And that's actually one of the strong points of Lovecraftian mythos, is that, okay, it sets up these otherworldly beings that are, like, essentially gods to, you know, that place and that time and everything, but it also puts them within the bounds of, okay, but yeah, they're all just out to get each other, and they're fighting each other under the sea and on land and in space and crap. It's like, I don't know. I hate the alien Jesus storyline, because sci-fi people in general are usually very like anti-theistic, which is fine, but it's like then you can't talk about hating religion and then create this, like, you know, unironic Pastafarianism. You know, you can't then have alien Jesuses explain that, hey, we should all talk better to each other. So it just hit a lot of raw nerves for me in a movie I wasn't expecting it from, too. I went in expecting sort of something definitely more, you know, more like sci-fi-y in that sense, very much like non-commercial. But at the same time, I wasn't expecting it to hit to so many raw nerves that I came out of it like really pissed off. So anyway, my rant.
Your anger makes me is very funny to me. Fucking so someone else has brought up. Oh God, it's time for me to get angry.
Do it
about a movie.
Do it.
I'm gonna do it. So someone else has brought up. Chaotic Babies has brought up Oak Studios from Neil Blomkamp. Oh, I have opinions on Neil Blomkamp.
Do it.
They're very conflicted feelings, though, because on the one hand, he is the most successful South African director at the moment. He is and that is really, really important. It's not exactly like we have a host of successful directors who are regularly making movies that I can talk about and, you know, praise their work. I mean, to be fair, we have made some fantastic movies, Oscar-winning movies. Things like Tsotsi, which won Best Foreign Film. We put out. We had Yesterday, and we had Lollipop, and we had we have all of these, and Jerusalem. Oh God, these are fantastic movies. But if you were to go and ask anyone, hey, what's your favorite film from a South African director? Oh, how about District 9? District 9 is a really dark fucking film. And, God, don't even get me started on Chappie. I didn't, yes, my family kind of liked Chappie, but I really, really hated it. And District 9 was even worse. And then there was Elysium, which was just boring and stupid. So on the one hand, I'm really, really proud that Neil Blomkamp has gone and got as far as he has, and I'm I do kind of want to see his new works that he's done, where he's releasing things on Steam, because he's trying to push for ways of indie developers of indie filmmakers to make cool films, and that's all really, really cool. But on the other hand, what the fucking his movies are not good. He is a terrible writer. He is an okay director. He's mostly just a good VFX supervisor, if anything else. And Jesus Christ. Okay, so there we go. There's my rant on Neil Blomkamp.
Nice.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Chappie Chappie probably set the, at least, American perception of South African culture back like 4 decades. So I'm just going to throw that out there. That's like using Chicago, like gangland, like South Chicago, as a representative of all of America. And I'm like, this is really bad. This is like... unfiltered ghetto, you know?
Yeah. Well, the problem is that if we used it depends which kind of gangland Chicago. Like, if it was 20s gangland Chicago as a representative of all of America, it would be a shame, because then I'd be disappointed to find out that the rest of America wasn't as cool as 20s gangland Chicago. But no, Chappie was an absolutely horrifying film.
With good CGI. The one thing he's very good at is effective but cheap CGI.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's why he'd be a great VFX supervisor. But the other major thing is, I'd like to see him do more. I would like to see him do more South African work here in South Africa, which is because there is the one major problem that, unfortunately, I know I'm going to succumb to, is that anyone who is incredibly competent in South Africa does not remain in South Africa. So for example, the jet fuel that NASA currently uses to lift its rockets up was developed by an 18-year-old South African.
Interesting.
Yeah, I went to the same school as this motherfucker. They loved to tell us about him. They, for a fucking science contest for St. John's, which was my school, he figured he could make a better rocket fuel than anyone else, and then he went and fucking did it, then got then got immediately picked up by NASA or NASA, and they named a star after him even.
Nice.
You got a star?
Yeah, he got a fucking star named after him. So he got poached. Then there's Charlize Theron. Yeah, you guys call her. You guys call her Theron or Theron, but yeah, Charlize Theron. Then of course, America also got Elon Musk.
Yeah.
You stole him from us.
Yeah, the biggest welfare baby of all time.
Fucking, I gotta say though, I am just waiting for the day that he announces that he's a supervillain.
Yeah, that would be really great, actually. I'm waiting for that too.
I will sign up as a henchman. I will sign up as a henchman for Elon Musk.
He's got like the scary eyes of the supervillain.
The thing is about having a star named after you, it's actually more valuable to have a grain of sand named after you because there's more stars than there are sand.
That's true.
Yeah, but okay, but let's put it this way. Imagine that as a pickup line in a bar. Hey, I'm so smart that when I was 18, I beat America's top scientists because I was bored, and then they named a star after me and paid for my education.
You know what's a
That's
better
a good
pickup
pickup
line in
They
a
named a
bar?
grain of sand after me.
You know
That's
what's
more
a better
valuable.
pickup line in the bar is I have $2 million from this grant that I got from the government. Money will always trout fame every single time.
That's probably also true. I wonder how much fucking money that he gets in for fucking research development.
Yeah.
For fucking and yet yes, Samuel. Yes, I mean the CEO of Tesla Motors and the CEO of Hyperloop and former CEO of PayPal and
actually
SpaceX.
I don't think he's connected to any of the Hyperloop things. Like the two major companies, like they took the white paper, but I don't think does he sit on board of either of them? Yeah,
he's the chairman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't heard much about the Hyperloop lately.
Yeah, they're working on test track. Like there's a test track in Nevada, I think, that someone's running tests with. See, that's something that, like, it's a proven technology. They had frickin', vacuum pneumatic trains in the frickin' 1800s at all these, like, World's Fairs. So it's like, it's a thing that works. It's just building the infrastructure, all these tubes and ways to fix them if, you spring a leak somewhere. And it's like, it's just, you gotta build it.
I think he managed to get one of your cities to agree to looking at how to make it work with the infrastructure or altering the infrastructure to fix it, though. I think it was Chicago, actually.
I don't know. It'd be because it has to be vacuum sealed with a pretty strong vacuum. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I know one of your cities has agreed to try it out. I'm pretty sure it was one that started with a C. I just can't for the life of me remember.
I don't know.
Although I don't think there are many American cities that are interesting that start with a C.
It would take a lot of it wouldn't take as much, at least the original studies wouldn't take nearly as much capital as California designing this completely failed high-speed rail train, which pissed me off at the beginning anyway. It's like, why are we designing high-speed rail when we already have newer technology? There's the maglev trains in Japan, which go literally like 70 miles faster than what the high-speed rail is theoretically going to do. And it's like, why are we building new tracks if we can build new tracks that are significantly better? And then the Hyperloop, if it does work, is even better. And it's like it could go up and down California in half an hour rather than 3 hours, which would be great.
Yeah, exactly. And the fucking he wants to the fucking battery farm that they're setting up in Australia now, supposedly they're going to take the southern half of Australia off the grid in 100 days.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, completely. The whole southern half of South Australia is supposed to be run entirely off of clean energy in 100 days, and apparently they found a way to make it completely more cost efficient than coal now, or at least that's what they're trying to prove.
Interesting.
Which, I mean, if they manage to do that, would be fucking huge. I mean, I'm not 100% certain that they'll manage it, but if they do, that'll make for a big fucking change.
Yeah, definitely. Like high, you know, high-capacity batteries could definitely stabilize the grid, at least on a building level and everything. In my opinion, it still has limits. Like, I've been through Southern California, and there's, like, freaking thousands and tens of thousands of the damn white windmills everywhere. And I'll be honest, it's a little bit of an eyesore. I would take out 1,000 windmills and put in 2 more nuclear plants. That's just me. That's my approach to things. It's like freaking, it's the San Onofre nuclear generating station, which actually powered way more than all that crap combined. And it's, you know, 2 concrete titties on the coast. It's like, yeah, that's way less intrusive than this entire freaking elaborate infrastructure. But anyway. What else is in the chat? Someone brought up the 2 snacks, the Fallout 4, 2 best sisters play Fallout 4. How have we not talked about that yet?
That was fucking hilarious.
So,
that was fucking hilarious, and it was 20 minutes long. Holy shit!
Yeah, that's like what Stapletech was essentially planning for the first 2 episodes of the animated series level of animation, and it just, like, it dug up old wounds for me there when I'm like, this looks so good, and they look so cute in their vault suits or stable suits and the power armor and stuff, and I'm like, oh damn it. He did a great job. It looks so cool.
Oh yeah, no, they fucking. To be fair, I cannot imagine how long they spent working on that though. Like, let's be fucking real. That must have been so much work that went into animating that. Like, I can't imagine how many fucking months they spent on it.
Yeah, no, I can't either. Because I know, I think he animates stuff at different times, but I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, either way, that was freaking fantastic. Holy cow.
I was really, really fucking impressed. And as usual, it was so fucking funny. Though I still can't get over how noodly the legs are now.
Yeah, the legs are a little bit more spaghetti-like, but at the same time, he has a lot more detailed, like, expressions and angles and stuff. Like, his remake of the original Assassin's Creed 2 episode was really well done. So yeah, those are great. I hope he keeps animating. Holy fuck. I love his work. I actually rewatched like all the 2 Best Sisters Play videos after that, and I'm like, oh man, it's so funny and very well put together. And even though the Fallout 4 one's a bit different, it's more like his animated action scene led compared to whatever the original was. But I loved it.
It was really, really great. And I do love how much more effort he's put in. How I love how much detail was in the background characters. Like, there were so many of the raiders who just had unique designs to them, which I did not expect. Like, normally most animators will find a way to sort of copy and paste characters and just sort of pray the audience doesn't notice, or other small things like the fact that there's there are these panning shots where you see a whole bunch of raiders, and every single raider has a full animation set where they're doing their own unique thing. Like, most of those characters would be completely still aside from a few links. So the level of, and that's like the sort of professional animation. Like, you will see shit. You see fucking Avatar, or like The Legend of Korra, or fucking Gravity Falls, and My Little Pony. They will pull that shit as often as possible, avoid animating the background characters. But 2 Snacks, that fucking thing there, you see those guys are fully animated. Like, that's a lot of work to put effort into the background characters. That is at least an extra few weeks of animation just on the background characters that he could have avoided.
The best example of that, too, is Ruby Volume 1, all the shadow people.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
All the fucking shadow people.
Those are great.
Oh, God, I'm so glad they got rid of the shadow people in action.
Especially when we got to Volume 3, like the big crowd shots. It's like they need a little bit more detail.
Yeah. Okay, to be fair, Ruby Volume 1 was made on, like, the smallest possible budget.
I know. No, it's fine.
Like, which is like the reason that Red versus Blue went back to being essentially, like, I think Red versus Blue season 11 has the same budget as Terminal Secrets.
Nice.
Essentially, it was like, which is essentially whatever money we can scrounge up from our back pockets.
Yeah. It you know, when it became a secondary series rather than their flagship series.
Exactly. Which I was really happy when they did their partnership with Full Screen, and they were able to expand widely enough that they were able to fund both of their projects properly.
Yeah, put money back into things.
Yeah, I mean, then now both of those projects have more funding each than they've ever had in their entire life before.
Well, no kidding. It's like the season 14 variety show had, was the most expensive season ever, that Miles said at one point. And I'm like, for what? It's like, wow, you threw a lot of money down the hole there. That was great.
Fucking, although, yeah, we're not going to turn this into another season 14 bitching session. Because
no, you can go watch
honestly,
episode 1 of the podcast for that. That was great.
or episode 2 or episode 3. I'm pretty sure that we've... I think in every single podcast, Rooster Teeth comes up at least once.
Those were like the really big discussions, though. Those were great.
Yeah. Because I mean, we wear our opinions and our sort of fangirling over Rooster Teeth on our sleeves very tightly, but we're also very critical.
Oh yeah. We have very strong opinions. That's what the podcast is for.
Exactly. Fucking. So the speaking of Terminal Secrets and budget, actually, we were able to get a guest voice actress for Terminal Secrets. I don't know if I've spoken about this on the pod. I think I've spoken about this on the podcast already. Actually, is that we were able to get Obab Scribbler and Dusty Cat to voice guest roles for major characters in the new Terminal Secrets, and their lines are fucking spectacular. Like, really, 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 this new episode has such a fucking great cast of characters. Mostly, possibly because for once we don't have like a cast of 3 people like we have in the past.
Yeah, exactly. We are expanding. Absolutely.
Let's have 14 characters and 3. No, James, stop doing that. Write less characters.
I like to feel like even though if we do that sometimes, it's just as an homage to Fallout 3, which also had only 3 voice actors.
Oh God!
Yeah.
It's like with.
We should probably wrap things
our...
a little bit here. I have to go in about 15 minutes, so if anyone has any last-minute questions and stuff, now is the time.
Yeah. And while we wait for those last-minute questions to come in, what is our episode title going to be?
That's true, too. I've been floating back and forth, but I can't settle on anything.
You know, I mean... I think we've had a lot of loud ass rants. I think I've fucking ranted more than anyone here so far tonight.
Pegasus talks
very strong opinions.
Yes, maybe something to do with. Yeah, Samuel Pierce has suggested the strongest opinions. The fucking rant, the rant podcast. No.
That's every podcast.
Yeah. You know, I'm not sure what our title for this podcast should be.
I just typed in very strong
in
opinions in capital letters and then a period. I always like ending capital letters like lines with a solid period because I feel like it's very punctual. It's
also
more
because
effective than an exclamation point.
A full stop is also weirdly angry. Like, often I will, like, if I'm writing a pointed message to someone, sometimes I'll leave out the full stop because adding the full stop actually feels a bit aggressive.
I know. It's one of those things that it's very interesting, perceived text language.
Yeah. Okay, so we have in the comment section how to improve your writing skills. Okay, wow. So could you? That's quite a complicated question.
First, take off
well,
the
not
pants.
complicated, but long. It's a long question.
That's
But
cool.
I mean, if you were to boil it down, it's just practice.
It really is. That's you could just
Like-
look through Confessions where it's like, first do something simple, 3-act structure, and then build from there with characters and locations and stuff, and just get a little bit bigger every time, and then you'll start to see it,
Yeah.
flourish.
Maybe try get a little bit of discipline in. I know most authors will say that you should write every single day. Like you set yourself a word count limit.
Yeah.
And like so, and don't start big at the beginning. Like, because it'll also vary every now and then. I'm currently at a point where I'm only writing like 500 words a day, but then I'll have these really, really great moments where I will knock out 2,000 words every single day. I think on last weekend I wrote 10,000 words in 7 hours. So you sort of set yourself a word count and then see if you can beat it. And now don't expect that everything you're going to write is going to be amazing. Like that's like one of the most important things is that even if you sit down and you're like, I have no ideas in my mind, I am full on writer's block and I don't know what the fuck I'm going to write and I've got this word count, just write it and then throw it in the bin. Fucking the most important thing is that you are writing something. I've actually lost count of how many half-finished, completely abandoned chapter 1s are sitting in my fucking project file. There are so many of them, because sometimes it'll be an idea for a story where I know I won't continue writing the story, but I will just start writing the story for the sake of writing something. And it will be fucking horrible, but I will write it anyway. And that is like and it's a tough discipline to get yourself into, but get yourself into the discipline of just writing as often as you can, and you will see that you're going to get better. Like just a month later, you will be a better writer, and a year later, you will be a much better writer. That is, it's not the only way, but it is the first step that you should take to improve your writing.
The second step is to hire a ghostwriter and just make them do it. Like us, if you want some kind of story done and you want to have one of us do it, join our Patreon and see Wasteland Survival Guide tier, or you could go all the way up into Confessions tier if you really throw in the bones.
Yeah, we even have a Patreon tier. I think it's at the $65 mark. Wait, where is it? We have a Patreon tier called EAST Corp Helps You. It's the $100 tier, where you can where if you pay us $100, the EAST Corp directing team, that would be myself, Skybolt, Kelly, and Needle Stitch, will be there to help you, and we will guide the creation of your content.
It's like a creative consultant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can bring us on as creative consultants. We can edit stuff,
punch up
guess right
ideas,
bits and pieces. Yeah, if you've got $100 lying around, please send it our way. Mm-hmm. We like money.
Throw us your bones.
And that extra, and we're always looking for ways to improve our content, and sometimes you just need a little bit of extra green to get to just take that further step.
Absolutely.
I mean, to be fair, Skybot manages to improve his quality without draining the PayPal. I think of everyone at EAST Corp. I think I've spent the most of our money.
Which I'm going to lord over you when I do finally need money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a case.
For instance, especially for Confessions, like some final artwork is going to be very, very elaborate. It's going to be awesome.
Well, we can hire some really, really solid out-of-house artists who just have different styles. Because the artists we hired at EAST Corp are very specifically vector artists.
Yes.
And we might want, so like with Untypical's cover art, I wanted something a bit more painty.
No, I know, and I want definitely a few like wallpaper tier, like big confessions, like landscape portraits with characters and stuff. That'll be great.
We should get.
Oh, so
we
you're
should
gonna replace me
definitely
now.
Oh my gosh, where did that come from? It's like we have a ghost in the call.
Yeah, well, I was saying is like you're gonna replace me now. Am I not good enough anymore?
No. Every artist has their purpose. Absolutely.
Okay. Chaotic Baby Lost, do you guys have a PO box for fan mail or fan art? No, we don't, but you can if you do want to send us fan art, just you can send it to our Facebook, or you can email it to us, or you can message it directly to us in here on our thing, or put it on DeviantArt and just send us links. We are fairly easy to contact, and we will never turn down fan art.
We have our Super Dank Facebook page, which is great for that, where we try to post like wallpapers and stuff.
Derek Hicks asks, how has Vermont breached even the most isolated FOE communities, even the smallest of Facebook groups, for advertising for EAST Corp? Okay, so Derek, yes, because Derek has seen me advertising on the Fallout Equestria Books page on Facebook. Well, because honestly, that's like one of the other things that I've noticed after a while is there is nothing wrong with shameless marketing.
No.
Like, fucking go and find every possible Fallout Equestria community, or like that's why I like working on fan projects, because you have a built-in community, and you be shameless. You go and you shill your product fucking everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you get them views, man.
Yeah, I mean, it really is that simple.
Yeah. It's because we can't exactly rely on YouTube's algorithm.
Not always, no.
And unfortunately, getting listed on Equestria Daily's nightly roundup, I mean, that's basically just a formality for us. I don't think at the beginning we could rely on maybe getting an extra 20 to 25 views out of the nightly roundup. But really, most of a lot of those, so even that doesn't help much. You've got to physically go and shill. Equestria Daily is really helpful when we are for Terminal Secrets and Confessions of a Wasteland Pony, because those always get full featured on their front page. But so that's helpful.
Yes.
But things like nightly roundup aren't helpful, so usually you've got to just go and shamelessly shill. Or you know what? Sometimes, as much as it's kind of cliched, and a lot of people, and it is kind of silly, but and you do feel kind of silly about it. There's nothing wrong with also at the end of every video just saying, "Hey guys, like, comment, subscribe, share, tell all of your friends about us."
Yes.
Because
please,
fucking
please.
Sometimes I'll watch a video and I'll forget to hit the like button, or I'll forget to subscribe, or I'll think, oh, I'll share this later, and then I'll forget to do it. And some viewers are like that as well. So just fucking share your shit, man. Share our shit, please.
Yeah, and so also the Facebook page is great if you want wallpapers. We have a whole bunch of stuff from all our different productions on there too. Yeah,
we absolutely do. It's fantastic.
So.
We've got all the things from the Wasteland Survival Guide, and all the Confessions artwork, and fucking the Terminal Secrets cover art, and the Untypical cover art, and the Anthem Longs cover art. They're all on there. All of our fantastic artwork is chilling on there.
And that's a great way to spread the word about us too, is send some people some nice art and be like, hey, check this out. You want to watch what this is from?
Yeah. That's also another really, really good way of doing it. Or like, just send them some Wasteland Survival Guide stuff. It's really, really short, and it's really easy to get into. Wasteland Survival Guide is actually pretty solid stuff for binging, now that I think about it.
It is. No, that's why I really try to keep the playlist updated so you can just go through it all.
We really should in October, like, just do, because it'll be our 1 year anniversary, which also, guys, holy crap, we are almost at our 1-year anniversary.
Woo!
And we should really do like just a major content dump over that month. I'm actually really excited for when we get into our more private meetings to discuss
Oh,
what we're
absolutely.
gonna do.
Because remember, that's over the time of the Fallout Day song as well, so
Yeah.
we might have something coming along for that.
And it's Halloween, and there's World Audio Drama Day the day after our anniversary. So between a potential Halloween special, obviously the traditional Fallout Day thing, and I will always do something for World Audio Drama Day and our anniversary. Fuck, I am so excited. We're gonna have to do something really fucking cool for our anniversary, and for like the month of October. That'll be the EAST Corp month.
Absolutely. No, it's gonna be a good time.
Have you guys considered doing a panel for Harkon? We did do a panel for Harkon actually this year.
Yes, we did.
I myself dropped out of the panel at the very last second, but Skybolt, Needlestitch, and I think Krelak as well were part of the panel.
Yeah, it was okay. I feel like all of our podcasts since then have been much better as far as live streaming and stuff goes, so you don't necessarily have to watch it if you don't want. I actually think the live test that me and Needle did impromptu the night before was much funnier and more better content. Much more better. So, that's just an FYI.
All right. Is there anything else?
I know, because I do have to go here soon. So, get your last questions in.
Yeah, last questions coming in, everyone, because I kind of want to go to bed, and Skype wants us to hang out with his buddies.
Yes.
Because, as it turns out, we do exist outside of EAST Corp. I know it's hard to believe.
Yeah, I actually have more of a life again because I'm back home. So it's sort of a twofold.
Pegasus wants me to die in a fire, and Chaotic Babies wants to know if we're enjoying our day. Well, apparently one of my fuck that. Apparently one of my employees wants me to die in a fire, so I don't know if I'm enjoying my day. Yeah, I went there. I called him an employee.
Wait, I moved up a rank?
What?
I think of us all as free spirits. We're all living in the great ether, man. It's awesome.
No. I want to do the chain of command.
I thought I'd be fired. I thought I'd be fired after that one, but okay. Still an employee. That's cool.
Nah, I can't exactly fire people. I'm not really good at. I'm really bad at firing people. I don't like it. I've had to do it before, and it sucks.
It does suck, yeah.
At
least we haven't grown big enough that we're as non-functional as Stable Tech was. We're still very, very focused and driven, and we don't have too much clutter in the wings.
Oh, absolutely. Our titties chat is 11 people. So I mean, we are a small studio. There are only 11 people at EAST Corp.
Yeah, and at least all of our series are proven concepts that we're just continuing rather than trying to start something that never actually gets started.
Exactly. With we're doing pretty fucking solidly with that.
And I love the Wasteland Survival Guide. It's a fun way to just throw in random lore, and we're like really compiling a lot of details about the Wasteland that we've never really covered before.
All right, cool. If there are no other questions, I think it is a good time. Yeah, I think it's a good time to bring this to an end. I can feel my eyelids drooping.
Alrighty, well, thank you everyone for joining us for another podcast, and we will talk to you more later on.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
And